homebrew, non-magical D&D 5e game.
20, 30.
16.
That's a 23.
I just kind of look at the phone, and then I unplug the phone, because I don't want the phone to ring anymore. As soon as you unplug the landline, your cell phone rings. Hardcore! Just hardcore! Like Olympic level sprinting.
When you're here, your family! And I punch it.
It's about 6'5". He's hot. He's hot. Roll insight for me. Oh no, you rolled really high, so I can't be an asshole either. I'm gonna need a decent streak of human armor.
Welcome back to Say a Prayer for California, Till Death Do Us Party. Unless you're new, in which case thank you for joining us. We are a non-magical D&D 5e actual play group, and we're going to be playing a game of Pretend for you today. I'm your Dungeon Master, Darlington Kilbride, and this is the party. And some friends of the party. Say hi for the people, please.
Hello, the people.
I'm coming. Alright.
Also, for those of you who have not seen both of them on screen at the same time, Bree and Spencer are here. They are going to be our special guests, and they will enter and be introduced in character when it's time for that to happen. For now, they're just going to hang out and, I guess, react with Chad. And before we kick things off fully, I do want to take a second to wish a very happy birthday this past Monday to our very own circuit board, Mazz, who is currently fixing things for us.
Hello, that's me. Hi, I'm Mazz, and I'm also the producer, so thank you for being so patient.
What? Twitch has broken some weird things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm not. I love to be in chat with everybody, but I'm not there. Which is
I will be getting up and going into the computer a couple of times today, probably, just because of reasons.
Alrighty, so we are going to jump on in. I want to mention again that this leg of the campaign would have been impossible without the Medica Plantarum by Rishi Armasalia, PhD. Go check that out. It is a D&D homebrew supplemental text. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump on in. Today, I would like to begin with a quote from Rimbaud in A Season in Hell and Other Poems. In the dawn, armed with a burning patience, we shall enter the splendid cities. So, 2 days ago, the party entered the Sequoia National Forest on a strong suggestion from the plague doctor Neuron in search of a list of rare ingredients imperative to the creation of a designer superdrug called Big Bang. The first day, which consisted mostly of preparation and the actual act of getting on the road, passed without incident. They arrived at the decaying exterior of the forest and entered unmolested, making a small camp near the Fallen Monarch Visitor Center. It wasn't until about halfway through the second day of their trip that they ran afoul of a pack of feral, endangered wolves. Before the wolves could advance and set to their terrible, hungry work, the woods spat forth a girl who looked to be younger than CB at first glance, but was revealed to be the owner of the mysterious blue light they'd been following, a beacon to try and keep them out of the path of the wolves. The girl led them on a daring sprint through the sequoias pursued by the pack before reaching a clearing and finding safety behind a force field in the shadow of a giant sequoia. After catching their breath, the girl, January, introduced herself and her family, a group living in the boughs of the giant sequoia that called themselves the Blight Brigade. The brigade treated the party to their first real dinner in at least a decade, during which they were entertained with an interactive fairy tale, and Seraphine made friends with the Pink Ranger action figure given to her by her sister Dinah. And before bed, CB stopped in with January and her younger brother August to try and figure out more about the woman feeding the wolves, Dr. Alice Ballard. The party went to sleep safely that night, hundreds of feet above the ground, with plans to join the brigade on a quest to Whiskeytown to collect the rest of their ingredients. While all of this was happening, the party was pursued by a strange figure astride an enormous black Clydesdale horse. The figure followed them through the forest of titanic trees like a shadow, something less visible even. Like a whisper you just manage to catch the tail end of, or a cloud of perfume that lingers in the room long after its wearer has left. Until its horse bore it through a gap in the force field into the base of the great tree, which you scaled to its height to watch the party and, perhaps less importantly, the brigade sleep. We're actually going to begin now on the roof of the treehouse. in the spot from which the rider has not moved in approximately 6.5 hours.
Staring in our window.
Rider. It's been what most would consider a long night. The people below slept relatively uneventfully. Perhaps a nightmare or a night terror in this room or the next, secure in the faith that they had for the force field that you slipped through so easily. Then again, people don't usually see the things you can see or move the way you can move. So perhaps that's why they paid next to no mind to the forest floor. A few hours before dawn, you did see a few figures step out of the treehouse's front door, at which point they descended quietly to the ground and surveyed the perimeter and found, of course, the hole through which you slipped. They recalibrated their force field, the dark mechanic and the man with the scars, trapping even you within until morning. You saw them see the lone speck on the ground hundreds of feet beneath the soles of their shoes. Saw them know it for what it was despite the dark and the distance, and even thought you noted a faint trace of fear on the scarred man's face as they moved back inside. From your vantage point, with your exceptional vision, you were able to make out an enormous red wolf sitting back on its haunches with its snout to the force field, perfectly still and waiting, patiently. Beautiful, thick, russet coat of fur that looked burnished in the gold in the early light, high, proud head. It would make a fantastic offering. It didn't leave until the first signs of life within the house became audible, approximately 20 minutes ago, but you have a fair idea of where the wolf went, so you decided to stay near the treehouse until you gathered data that pushed you in one direction or the other. The people now are rousing, slowly, one by one as the sun starts to climb past the horizon. The brigade first, Petrie in September, and both of the strange children they raised here in the woods coming to lower the barrier. Shortly after that, but before the people sleeping directly underneath you wake, the smell of cooked meat and brewing coffee rises up to meet you. You feel a pang of hunger stronger than what you're used to now, being who you are and knowing who you know. Perhaps because you're closer to its source, or perhaps because you haven't had a home-cooked meal in some years, but you are nothing if not a well-trained machine, and you're able to stomp down on the hunger and press it back into its allotted space as the people in the attic begin to stir. You've had a couple of days now to kind of observe the newcomers to the forest, and a whole night to watch them undisturbed, so I have to ask, is there anyone of particular interest either to you or to your four-legged companion, who I assume is still waiting below?
So to me, the people who would be the most interesting would be the month babies. I want to say it's September and February?
January and August. But there is a September, so...
Close enough. Off by a month each. But, okay, January and August, yeah. They will be the most interesting to me, just because they're the youngest, they're, the most easily influenced, let's say.
Okay.
And also, probably the most martially minded, because they're young and kind of dumb and don't really know any better. So that'll be kind of the primary focus, is just getting a feel for them, seeing what they're about.
Okay. Do you want to continue observing them to try and find out what their next move is, or do you want to get out of here and head back home to get some sleep and then catch back up with them?
I'll stick around long enough just to figure out where they're going.
Okay.
If they can give me, I'll listen in on the conversation. I'll see what they say, because presumably they don't know I'm here. If they knew that I was here, they would have already done something, to be speaking in kind of sort of a coded tone. So I'll just wait for them to drop wherever they're going, and then I'll bug out. I'll get down to my horse, and we'll go. And I'll also, once we get to the horse, then I have a question for him, but that's another story.
Okay. Then before we see what they're up to, well, we can't do that because of time. So we are going to see what they're up to, and then we will check back in on you and your companion in a little bit. Sound good?
I love that we just call the horse companion.
Oh, he's got a name. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, he fully has a name.
I know, but I just love it.
His real name is Companion Jones.
Oh no, it's much worse than that.
It's so much worse.
Is it as bad as Needle in a Time Stack?
Yeah,
Sit down.
It's bad.
It's pretty rough.
So
you're gonna groan to hear it.
yes, I'm very excited. as the Black Rider disappears from view above, Abe is actually the first one to wake. In a move that, at very least, Seraphine and Dinah could have predicted, Abe did not sleep in a bed of soft moss and away from the draft with the rest of you. Abe slept laid out flat on his back with his boots laced and his gun right beside him, his body between the rest of you and the door and any unexpected visitors that might have tried to come in the night. He wakes now to the smell of coffee and food and kind of takes a minute to look around the room. Dinah's missing again. And that's impossible because she would have had to get past him to get out of the door, and he's a very light sleeper. But she is definitely gone, and so is her shotgun. So it's probably fine. He decides that Dinah is Dinah, and he will catch up with her whenever she wants to be caught up with, and turns and crosses the room to Seraphine. When he gets there, he takes the far end of her thick, warm wool blanket in both of his absolutely enormous hands and attempts to rip it off of her. Seraphine,
I'll fucking kill you.
what I need from you right now is either a dexterity or strength saving throw, whichever is better for you. Roll twice and take the worst number.
Alright.
Because I want to see if muscle memory activates after 30 years of sleepovers with this idiot and you hold on to your blanket.
You got a 14 for dexterity.
Okay.
And I'm rolling again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Titty fucking kidding me. I got a
You say
7.
titty fucking?
Proud of you.
What?
I got a 7.
Abe rolled a 23.
Fucking Abraham.
So,
Abernathy.
Abernathy
always
Bloom,
fuck that up.
your oldest friend in the world, knows that while you are fast, you're not that fast. So he grabs the end of that shit and he yanks it away from you. You very quickly go from asleep to awake. What would you like to do? How would you like to respond to this injustice?
I'm just stunned and disrespected and harassed.
Morning.
Fuck you and I don't respect you, Abernathy.
I know. But you're up now.
Why did you do that?
It's time to go, probably. There's food. I smell food. We should go.
The only thing.
Also, you were a soldier. Why are you sleeping in anyway?
Okay, but I'm not a soldier now. I was sleeping in the civilian quarters. This is an act of war. And I should-
Our entire friendship has been an act of war.
I'm sorry, what?
Our entire relationship has been an act of war. So I'm not
Don't
sure
be
where this
surprised
confusion is
when
coming
I just
from.
roll up on you and double tap you in the back of the fucking head while you're getting coffee.
I've been waiting for that for at least the last 15 years.
So is this where we find out that Seraphine is a Third Amendment fundamentalist?
We just might. The session is still young.
Bring me coffee, and I'll consider not murking you.
I know who raised you, and I know she taught you to say please and thank you.
Please go get me my coffee so that I can drink it before I kill you. Thank you.
Do you want it weak as shit as usual?
Why are you making this whole morning about attacking Seraphine? I just woke up.
Again, our entire friendship points
Did
exactly
I
to
hurt
this
you in a
point.
dream?
Probably.
Did I hurt little feelings in a dream?
Probably. I'm sensitive.
Clearly.
I'm a sensitive boy.
Please
Get
send me
up.
coffee. Can I get my coffee, please?
Fine, I'll go get your goddamn coffee. Be up when I come back.
I'm not making any promises.
If I come back and you're not on your feet, I'm pouring the coffee out in front of you. Choice is yours. And with that, Abe leaves the room. No further discussion.
I'm just staring at the door that Abernathy walked out of, and in my head, I've already killed this man about 8 times.
Would you, you very unfondly remember boot camp, where, like, this was by no means the worst way he could have woken you up,
It's up there.
but it's high up there
It's
because,
disrespectful as shit.
yeah, and he fully intended it to be. He meant it as an act of war. You're pretty sure that he has just begun a prank war with you, so.
Fuck you, I don't respect you.
Go ahead and roll perception for me real quick.
18.
Okay. You were so busy trying to find out what the fuck crawled up Abe's ass this morning that you didn't notice until he was, like, satisfied that you were awake and went downstairs to get your coffee as ordered, you hope. But Kimberly is sitting upright on your pillow right next to you. Like right next to where your head was before you were rudely awakened. But both of her arms are raised above her head, almost like a kid waiting to be picked up.
Oh, my heart.
You're sure that you put her in your pocket for safekeeping last night.
Puppies.
But
How the fuck did you get here?
honestly, this just seems like a thing she would do after falling into the dirt and screaming, so it's not as alarming as it probably should be.
How the fuck did you get here? Why are you so excited to be awake?
Aubergine, you hear all of this that is happening. I assume you're speaking aloud to Kimberly.
Yes.
Yeah, so you hear first fighting, and then you hear just Seraphine and no response, but she continues to talk.
What the fuck are you, like, why are your arms up? Do you want me to pick you up? We'll have to carry you anyway, but, like, how did you get here? How did you, wait a minute, wait. You want me to carry you, but you found your way onto my fucking pillow?
And Aubergine, so here's the thing. I remember that last session when we ended with Aubergine going to sleep and she was like praying, but she wasn't praying. She was talking to Drew, and then that made me sad. And I feel like she probably, this is what Aubergine dreamed last night. And pun intended, because that's her name. She dreamed last night that she was performing again, but on the side of the stage was the Black Mariah and Drew and the Postman on one side. And then she looked at the other side, and it was all of her new friends and her new people. Big Douglas and Dinah and Seraphine and CB. So first of all, she wakes up like super, not like sad, but like nostalgic sad, that weird happy sad. Where you know when you had a good dream and you're sad because it's not real.
It's not real, and also it's over now. Yeah.
So first of all, Aubergine wakes up like that. And then secondly, she just sits up and she looks over at all this going on. And then she just doesn't say anything, and she just does like this. And it lays down again.
CB, you are the last to awake. You awake to the same thing. You awake to the muffled sounds of fighting, which is unusual for you.
Am I in the same room, or didn't I stay in the room?
Nope, you went back to your room.
You went back,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You awake first to the sounds of fighting, but it doesn't sound like frenzied. It sounds like a struggle, but not a fight necessarily. And then you hear Seraphine talking, and you open your eyes, and you are in the attic room of the house in the giant sequoia, and this is happening around you.
What are you doing?
I wake up, and then I attempt to like throw the blanket over my head like a cranky boy, and then I just keep hearing the fighting, and then I just throw the blanket off me, and I literally stand up, I shrug on my t-shirt, I shrug on my jacket, and I take.
Now that you see them awake, by the way, do you keep talking to Kimberly?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to check. Just checking in.
Mind your business. This is between me and the pink reader. Anyway, how the fuck did you get onto my pillow, dog? Because I had you in my bag, and then I put you in my pocket, and then you ended up in my pillow, and then you're trying to be picked up, which...
She starts to get a little bit warm in your hand.
Why are you hot?
Uh,
Why are you hot?
So
Why are you
at
hot?
this point, Aubergine realizes that like pretending this is not happening is not a thing.
Why is it hot?
So
Guys, I know your asses are awake. This is hot.
that's what I
I'm
get up.
standing up.
No, I get up and I go sit on the edge of CB's bed and like pull the blankets back, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, I do now. Thanks.
She fucking screams. She gets hot. Her eyes glow. She teleports. She sleeps.
It's an
That's a new
alien.
thing. She sleeps.
I've
That's a
just
new thing.
decided it's a creature from space. I've just fully decided.
I mean, here's the thing. What has been normal since the particle wars? First of all.
I mean,
And even if we're going to call everything that happened since the particle wars normal, our past week, we had a shared dream vision. And now
Yeah.
we're out doing missions for Neuron.
yeah.
Like,
Is
life
it
couldn't
okay?
get weirder if we fucking tried, guys.
Do I know what day of the week it is?
Let's see, you left on Sunday. It's been 2 days, so it is Tuesday morning.
I think I have this memory of watching Barney the dinosaur every morning, and so for some reason I just have I love you, you love me in my head, and I'm like this. I have to remember to care about these people. I have to remember to care about these people, and then I grab Ribbit and I leave. Just me and my dog, just out the door.
Fair enough. Okay, so CB takes one look at this scene, this bullshit,
No.
and just, I'm good, beloved, and just turns and walks out of the room.
I want food again. I want real food again.
Yeah, you guys do smell like fresh food cooking, something that smells like breakfast meat, like bacon or sausage or whatever. Do you want to follow CB downstairs, or do you need to have a little bit more time with your doll?
I shout to the door behind me, like, are you gonna keep yelling at your alien doll, or y'all gonna come eat? And then
Oh no!
First of all, you said cooking and I heard cocaine, which Jordan is not interested in, but Aubergine is like,
Don't mind if I do.
just
I was
a
gonna
small
try to
one.
see if our friend could sit on the microphone.
Can I say it on Twitch? I should say it on Twitch.
Can we just talk about this? Look at how fucking cute.
She got a little thrown.
Two things about this.
I wonder.
She has a steed.
I'm gonna hold that thought for later.
We're not going to hold our sea monster news. I forgot because we were so nervous about being on time that we didn't talk about sea monsters at the top of the show. So we're going to come back to that.
During
I'm making
intermission,
a note
we're gonna talk
right
about sea
now.
monsters.
Coming on back to sea monsters during the break.
Secondly, you didn't say cocaine. You said cooking. Aubergine is horny for food.
Okay.
Let's go downstairs because I feel like Abe is the liar. He's a lying liar who lies, and he's not bringing my coffee. And I can't handle my doll sitting next to my head, getting hot in my little hands, without my coffee. So let's go downstairs.
She's not like, the audience can't see what I'm doing, but she's like wiggling her feet a little bit like she wants to get down. She doesn't. She absolutely doesn't. She just wants you to know that she's dissenting to your attitude.
That's great. She can just sense all she wants. She's a toy.
So the doll is fully like kicking in her hand, and she's, I guess, just holding on to it and continuing on to breakfast.
Kick me again, I will throw you out this window.
This isn't the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Imagine how I feel. I have a doll that I have not seen in about 25 years.
And now it's alive.
Let's go some coffee. I want to talk to Big Douglas.
So downstairs, the Blight Brigade is already well awake. They tend to rise with the sun. Forsythia, Dr. Hart, you are downstairs. Breakfast is a simple meal of steaming, thick-cut oatmeal with brown sugar and berries. There is meat, but it's probably wolf meat, and that doesn't seem like a breakfast item, so most people are deciding to forego that. It was prepared by Micah and by the new group of people's strange friend Dinah, who just sort of marched downstairs while it was still dark and walked into the kitchen and started preparing breakfast. She mumbled something about hospitality when anyone questioned her, and eventually Micah just joined her. So you are seated at the table as the party, begins to come downstairs. First CB and his little robot dog Ribbit, and then Aubergine and Seraphine are next. Abe Bloom is also down there. He and Dinah have been conferring about something for a few minutes now. She's showing him what looks like an ancient sidekick phone. And they're both very, very excited about whatever she's shown him. And party, you come down and are served breakfast. Dinah is there. Dinah is not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but she's accepted that she's awake, and now it has to be everyone's problem.
Is that my coffee you're drinking, Dinah?
Yeah. Abe did make it for you, to his
How
credit.
did you let this happen? I gave you one job.
Aside from the fact that she threatened to stab me and meant it,
I threatened to stab you. I just threatened to shoot you in the face over a blanket. And you were unfazed, and then all of a sudden...
you have threatened me that every morning for the last 15 years, so I figured that I've probably got at least a little bit of time to run.
You still continue to deserve it, so... you
Wow.
still deserve it if you
Wow.
Stop saying it.
Wow.
Aubergine makes herself a cup of coffee and sits down on the equivalent of what would be a love seat in this treehouse. And immediately offers her coffee to the seat next to her and says, Big Douglas, you want some? And just starts telling Big Douglas about her dream.
The coffee cup there's a little bit of friction, and it does float out of your hand. It doesn't tip, but it does sort of just hover beside you. Aside from where Aubergine is sitting, the rest of you do eat standing for the most part, because at some point in the last 8 hours, and for Scythia, I imagine that you were a part of this, the main dining table was swept clean of all its detritus and turned into kind of a staging area for the house's inhabitants. You see rifles, pistols, crossbows, longbows, vials of God knows what, a few plastic attaché cases that are cracked open with their contents spilling out. There are maps, there are soil samples, there are bags and seeds. And you watch as all of it is kind of dispersed amongst the brigade, and they all look... They were tired when you met them. You know, 3 of them had just come from fighting a fire. But in the morning, having had some rest and, you know, patched up their battle wounds in the case of Forsythia and Atlas and elsewhere, they look very sure of themselves in the daylight. They move with a certainty that is welcome, given how strange things have been since you entered the forest. Forsythia, is there anything in particular that you are doing to prepare? You know that you're going on a longer journey than you usually do, and you have a chance to kind of check out some of the sites that you've mapped out at other times. Is there anything in particular that you want to take care of before you go, or that you'd like to do along the way?
I'm going over some maps, and at the same time with my hands, I'm weaving some like medium thick to small thickness rope into one of those bracelets that you keep on your wrist, and then if you like unroll it out in the field, you have several yards of rope at your disposal.
Cool as hell. I didn't know that was a thing, and now I want one just to have for parties. I don't get invited to a lot of parties. I don't know if that's a thing that they do at those.
So you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you for being a real one. Okay, so...
and so, like, if I'm not doing... Like, I'm taking breaks from doing that with my hands to, like, maybe sketch out... Like, maybe erase a little bit of the path. Maybe, like, you know, sketch out some stuff on the map. Make sure I know where I'm going. I like knowing where I'm going.
Yeah, at one point, Atlas kind of sets his bowl down dangerously close to where you're working, but not quite on top of it. He's well aware of the rules, and he has loosened sort of his behavior from the lab, but he knows he's been told. So he sets his bowl down a little close, but not super close, and kind of leans over so his chin is on your shoulder, and he points to a spot on the map. It's the last site that you raised. Like a major burn was near Bear Paw Lake Cabins, and that is one of the that's one of the major stops on the way. So he kind of just points at it and turns his head to look at you to get your approval or disapproval in making a stop.
Yeah, we'll pull over there. I know why you want to go there.
Much appreciated.
We'll make it quick.
I promise we'll make it quick. I just want to show elsewhere because he didn't get to come with us.
You're right. We'll make it quick, though.
Yes, ma'am. So Petrie comes over to the table just as you guys are all of you are kind of finishing up breakfast. She's wearing the same green leather from the day before with the same little enamel pin of a bouquet of flowers on the lapel, along with like a green flannel and a tank and some jeans and like heavy Doc Martens. They've seen a lot of use. She's just finished packing a huge hiking backpack and what looks like some kind of field kit, and she looks really pleased to see you. Look at you lot, well fed and well rested. I hope you are, anyway. We've got quite a journey ahead of us. The wolves have gone and ought to sleep all day, so I'd like to make the most of the lead we've got on them. Are you all ready to go?
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're going to make a quick stop at 2 of our sites on the way out and pick up a few things, and we're headed into Low Country, or at least what passes for in this area. August, go pick up their car. It's near the Monarch Visitor Center, so come in from the north and drive out as quietly as possible. If you get spotted, I want you to do that thing with the car I told you never to do. Good boy. Circuit board. You're going to go with him, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to go with him, you stay right on his heels and you do what he tells you, younger than you or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Go. And remember me, August, you promised me minimal mischief. Because we're on a schedule, yes? He is at the door. Like, he stopped listening as soon as she said you get to drive a car and is almost leaving without you. He's not going quite that fast, but he's
Rivet followed him without me.
cool.
Aubergine gives no pep talk, but she does pat CB on the back. Like, she's not a mom, she's a cool aunt.
I think he's starting to really value that very small part of our friendship. Just the reassuring pats.
And I do actually have a quick question for the writer who opted to continue his patient vigil. Would you like to stay with one of the month babies and the rest of the party, or do you want to follow August and Circuit Board? Did we lose him? I think we lost him.
Spencer!
Spencer, my
I'm
bad.
here.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud.
We're doing it live, kids!
It looked like he
Hey.
was listening. I was shocked. Ooh, that's a cat.
I was.
Hey, bud.
Yep. What's going on?
Do you want to stay at the tree with January, the girl, and the new party in the brigade, or do you want to follow August and Circuit Board back into the woods to go pick up the car that they came in?
If I recall correctly, they haven't actually said where they're going yet.
I think we lost you for a little bit. So they are...
Yeah, I was in the bathroom.
No worries. They're getting ready to head out. August and Circuit Board are going to make a quick pit stop back the way that they came to go
I got
pick up
that
their
part.
car.
It was the part before that when I was not at the computer. I wasn't sure if I had heard whether or not where they're going.
They're headed to Whiskeytown ultimately, but
Okay.
they are stopping off in a couple of their private stores.
Did he hear that?
Okay.
Like, was the-
No, it didn't.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking. Yeah. Okay. Well, if that's where they're headed, then presumably I know the routes there because of where I'm from.
Yeah.
There can only be so many ways to get there from here. I think I'm gonna follow CB in August
Okay. Go
because
ahead
I know
and
where they're
give-
headed eventually. I mean, if I lose them for a day or two, it's a big whoop.
True. Give me 2 stealth checks for you and your friend to proceed behind them at a close but unobtrusive distance without making any noise
Okay.
in the underbrush.
Does the horse get to benefit from my stealth skill?
Yes.
Okay, then let's make 2 rolls. First one is a not good, 12, and the second one is a 15.
12 and a 15. Okay. I mean, that tracks because one of you is a horse.
Yeah.
So that seems all right, but you rolled fairly high, so I think they've heard the sound of like hoofbeats in the forest before, and they've got frankly larger problems. So I think you're probably okay to proceed
Yeah.
for right now.
I mean, as long as they're not going to come after me. Like, what are they going to call the fucking cops?
Fair. Out in the woods, there's
I'll
no
be
law.
okay.
There are no cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'll be good.
Then we are going to move on down the roadways somewhere in the woods on a path that we've seen before but never in daylight, and moving at a surprisingly brisk pace are Circuit Board and August. CB, where is Ribbit? Is he walking beside you? Is he on your shoulder?
I think he's just keeping pace next to me in August.
Okay.
He moves faster when he's not. He's faster than me, so.
True. He's a smart robot boy. So you proceed on into the forest, unaware of anything that may be going on around you. And you can still see the faint outlines of smoke to the southwest, southeast, and northeast, where the fires must still be smoldering. You've been walking in silence for a little while now, when August, who is kind of bouncing on his heels, and seems completely at home in this environment, says, "So, what's it like living in a bureau city? Do you guys have internet there? What's the plant life like? Do you know other kids? Sorry, It's just
No.
everybody I know is like 40 except for my sister. I
That's
kind of
okay.
just never expected I'd meet another kid unless I left here.
That is the biggest mood. First of all, I met kids my age for the first time this last week, so 100% with you on there. Second of all, didn't know you could leave the Oxylux without dying, so that's new for me. I live in like a weird cement cave behind a dumpster with lots of monitors, and it's a whole thing.
Roll insight for me real quick.
Okay. We don't have plants, really.
What's the plan?
I learned what plants are this week. We don't. Yeah. 12?
Okay. I think here's the thing.
That's not awful.
No, it's not bad.
Here's the thing.
And
I
have no
think
business laughing because I will do worse later.
I think normally a 12 would be not ideal, but you and August are on the same kind of wavelength that you and Gash are on, in that, holy shit, there's somebody else my age here.
Oh my god, if Gash and CB and August get together, I'm a cry.
That should be
And-
a bonus episode, but I don't want to see it.
Fair. I think that on a 12, you are able to at least get the sense that August has mostly no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but he is so glad that you are having a conversation with him that he doesn't care.
I think CB feels exactly the same way.
So you two continue on this way through the forest, having a conversation where neither of you is comfortable and neither of you really is completely sure of what the other one is saying. He starts talking about, you know, the different plant life that's in the woods, and it's a lot of just like, yeah, no, and very wide eyes to show that you're interested, even though you have no idea what's going on, and he's doing the same thing.
I think I'm just making notes of all of the words that he's saying to look up later in
Oh.
that book that I got.
All in all, though, it is pretty pleasant. You don't feel the pressure to be cool or appear adult or more mature. You feel able to just have a conversation, and even if what comes out of your mouth isn't necessarily a thing that you originally intended to come out, it's still fine.
Yeah.
Which isn't a luxury that you get very often, being the youngest pretty much everywhere that you go.
Yeah, I haven't experienced this like mutual validation and like kind of collegiate relationship for sure.
So the two of you cover a lot of ground quite quickly, despite the friendly exchange of conversation, because August is moving with purpose this entire time. You never see him check a map. You never see him even really look away from directly where he is going.
I feel like one, CB's keeping pace, but two, I think CB's used to that kind of mentality because that's how he moves through the city. So I don't think he's faced by that, but he's also very impressed because I'm not familiar with this terrain at all, and it just
Yeah, it all looks
Yeah.
the same to you. It's
Yeah.
all trees.
Yeah.
You're just starting to see things that you kind of recognize when August freezes dead in his tracks with his hand on your sleeve
I just kind of
and just looks into the trees.
What you see out there?
He listens for a moment or two, and then, seemingly, I guess, satisfied, he kind of shakes himself and slings you little more than a shrug as an explanation. He does not recount to you why he stopped, and just kind of like trots off down the path. You are about to reach the car, and you are guided by the steady ping of the signal to your cyber deck because you did mark the car before you left.
I figured once we kind of got to in range of that.
Yep. As soon as you got within range of it, the beacon picked it up and it started flashing on your deck. You do hear from somewhere in front of you something like a twig snapping. It's a sharp, high noise of something breaking. But it's probably only noticeable because there is really no other noise in the forest than you. You don't see anything You can roll perception if you'd like, but at first blush, you don't see anything in the trees around you. And apparently neither does August. He does hold a finger up to his lips and point forward, and continues to creep forward toward the fallen monarch clearing where the visitor center is. You get to where you know the car is, and you have to grab August by the back of his hoodie, because he just keeps walking. He doesn't know that your car is invisible, so he just keeps going.
Yeah, I just. Sorry. I. Like, obviously go. Like, I like make eye contact with him and go. Boop, 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 boop. Car. Yeah. I can make cars invisible. It's a thing. I'll explain later.
Right. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Just like Birdie. Roll perception for me, please.
Yeah, Birdie's dope, first of all. Like her a lot.
She's kind of scary when you...
Every female hacker I have met, femme hacker I have met, has been terrifying, impressive, and enthralling. Just all of them.
Yeah, that's my aunt. Yeah.
What am I rolling?
Perception.
Thank you. Nat 20!
Nat 20.
Delicious.
Cool.
I'd play the
You
animation if
hear
it doesn't broke it.
movement
Oh.
inside the visitor center.
I thought. Oh, it's intact?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
fire
I
was
thought-
near it. It wasn't on fire.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I thought the visitor center is what was set on fire.
Mm-mm.
We never figured that out.
We don't know what was set on fire, but
Okay.
The column of smoke is closer now. Like, it's probably within walking distance, but it is not
Not
in
the
this
visitor
clearing.
center.
You, on that nat 20, you can hear, because there is nothing else happening around you sonically, what sounds like footsteps on creaking wood, but you can't determine if they're coming closer or moving further away. The door to the visitor center opens. The person that steps out is a young woman who doesn't look too terribly much older than you, actually. She's got long, like, strawberry blonde hair. It's wet and still kind of dripping. Gray blue eyes that are striking even from the, 50 yards from where you are to the
This is
door that
somebody
she just
walking
stepped out of.
the visitor
Yep.
center?
Heart-shaped face. It suggests kind of an inherent sweetness, but it's currently being overtaken by horror at the sight of you. She pulls the door closed very quickly behind her and turns her wide eyes on August specifically, gesturing like she's trying. Look. And August, first he blushes, and then he waves at her. And she's indulgent and kind of just, okay, all right, hey buddy, and jumps over the entire flight of stairs leading down from the visitor center and lands noiselessly in the dirt a few feet away from you. She gets in extremely close to August, like right up in his face, and she says, "What the hell are you doing here? Where's your sister? You know what? Never mind. You have to go right now." And he starts to talk, and she covers his mouth.
Can I, upon hearing someone in the visitor center, have we made the car invisible?
Yes.
Cool.
She glances at you, and you can see confusion on her face. But she turns back to, you see confusion, but also she locks onto you for a second, and you don't know that you could put it into words, but it feels like she's reading your genetic code. It feels like she's just staring straight through you and
like trying to figure out like my etymology.
and just knows everything about you. She doesn't, but it's very much that feeling
Feels
of being
like that kind of
scanned.
analysis.
Yeah. You kind of feel your face start to get warm at the intensity of the gaze, and also the unabashed nature of the fact that she is fully just staring you down right now. You find yourself pulled in just like a little bit closer, at least to hear, because despite the fact that I am talking very loud for the camera, she is whispering essentially. And she keeps her hand over his mouth and she says, "We're leaving soon. Russo and the others aren't far behind me, and if they find you out here alone, we both know what's gonna happen. I don't want to be here. He has to get his car, and he's kind of like fought to get his mouth free. You know, him, one of the people that the wolves tried to eat yesterday. Roll insight.
11.
She winces visibly.
At the mention of
The wolves and them specifically trying to eat you. There's a tension that radiates through her. She's almost kind of vibrating with it. It's something you can't quite put your finger on, but you recognize the expression that she's wearing. It's the same expression that people in Bella Muerte have when the Dreadnought Patrol switch shifts and the streets are full to brimming with people in black armed to the teeth. Resignation, or maybe fear, or both. You also get the feeling that she finds the actions that preceded this, the chase through the woods and whatever it is that Alice Ballard is ultimately doing, distasteful. Something about it doesn't sit right with her. In fact, she turns to you and she says, "I'm sorry about that. I'm glad January found you in time. It was getting dark by the time I found her and I didn't know if she'd make it. Not to belabor the point or anything, but it's going to be much worse if she finds you here. We can't leave without their car. Alice. We can't leave without their car, and they can't get back home without it anyway." Fuck! She stomps her foot and, like, fully swings her body around to look at the visitor center, which is still dark for the moment. Okay. She seems to steel herself against something. And when she has fully turned back to you, her face has hardened into something that's more solidly identifiable as resignation than anything else. But you do see a little bit of rage. And she says, Okay. I can get you out. But you have to be ready, and you have to tell your mom we're coming. Alice is pissed, and I don't know what she's gonna do, okay? So you wait for my signal to turn the car on, and once you go, you don't stop until you can't see the clearing anymore. Promise me, August.
We're driving it back to the tree, right?
As far as you know.
Okay, got it.
She grabs August by his chin just a little bit too tight and holds him in place so that he has to meet her eyes, and she says, "Whatever you hear, when I give the signal, you get in the car and you get the fuck out of here. You get him out of here. You do not try and help me. You go straight to Brona in September." She stares at him, and you, CB, see August harden just a little bit. Almost like the same thing that's inside of January that lets her run from wolves without breaking in step is also in him. And you're not sure if it's genetic or environmental, but something gives you the feeling it's going to work out in your favor today. And August says, "Okay, I'll promise if you promise to leave me a sign as soon as you can." He leaves his face in her grip, but holds up his left hand, pinky extended, and just waits. And she very solemnly links the pinky of her left hand with his without breaking eye contact, and there's a moment where you don't really know what's going to happen next. That moment stretches into another, and another. And then they both nod and grin as she drops her hands and she pulls him into a very quick, what looks like an extremely tight hug, and she says, "Promise." They separate as quickly as they came together, some understanding between them of what the game is that they're about to engage in, and August gestures for you to get in the car as he feels for the door. Because it's invisible again. He is driving.
Okay, I unclose the car so we can find his way into it. And then, if I close the car, everything inside is closed, right?
Yes. Roll stealth for me to quietly open and close the car door and get in, please. 19. I think on a 19, Yeah, on a 19, soundless. Sorry, I forgot what check I asked you to do for a second. I had to look at my notes. On a 19, it's soundless. August, as soon as you uncloak it so that he can get in, he is in. He has just sort of thrown himself bodily into the car, and is
Grip it up as I get in the car.
and is pulling on his seatbelt and just kind of does one of these for the keys. About 5 minutes of dead silence go by. No movement in the trees, or on the ground, or coming from the little house. No insects skittering away in search of better pastimes. August isn't even talking. He's just staring very intently into the rear view mirror with one hand on the key in the ignition. Then, from inside of the visitor center, you hear a bone-splitting howl. This isn't a mindless, feral sound. This is the sound of something that is horribly, painfully aware. August does not hesitate. He has turned the engine over before the sound stops and is already backing out at top speed when the woods go silent again. The backward momentum is so strong that you each slam forward and take... Actually, are you wearing your seatbelt?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's good. That's very
Not
good.
dumb. Yeah.
You each take... You take 1 point of damage as the backward thrust slams you backward, and then the momentum carries you back forward into the dashboard. He also like head checks himself on the steering wheel and just tries to keep a grip on it as he backs outward. You notice that blood is starting to pool a little bit in his hairline. It's not a lot, except for the fact that it is a head wound, so you're not really sure how hard he hit his head. He is still like very focusedly driving backwards. He whips the car around. He waits until you're completely out of sight and does a surprisingly neat 3-point turn and heads out of the entrance you originally used when you got here in a direction that you don't recognize.
Cool.
On the other side of the forest, Petrie leads the rest of you further north into the woods, veers sharply to her right, apropos of nothing, and stops in front of a curtain of hanging lace lichen, which is it's almost like a willowy kind of thing. She parts and steps through this curtain and holds a side up so that all of you can pass beyond the barrier and see what is inside for yourselves. And she says, "Welcome to the Bone Orchard. I promise we won't be long. We just have a few things to collect that might come in handy later. Feel free to look around if you'd like. But if you'd like to pick something, I prefer that you ask, all right? Be elsewhere with me. Let's be quick about it." Go ahead and roll perception for me, Aubergine and Seraphine, please, on your new environment.
Using my big dice.
Yeah.
I need to get me some of those.
It didn't do me any favors. I got 14.
I got a 5.
Wait, do I get a
Dang.
modifier for perception?
I think so. I guess I could check your character sheet like a responsible DM.
Oh, I got a 20 then. That's a dirty 20.
Okay.
Just kidding. Big dice work. Yay, big dice.
Even on a 5, you can see what you are standing in. But we're going to go with the dirty 20 description. In the most literal sense of the word, you are standing in a garden. It is almost the size of a football field, and it is tucked away amongst the trees and lichen so seamlessly that you're not even sure you'd be able to find it again if you looked for it. But calling this literally a garden is like calling the Sistine Chapel the work of an amateur. In its most fantastical sense, which better suits our purposes and your reality, you are standing in something out of a fairy tale. Aubergine, you think of your high school's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which was funded by what would become the Summer Court, and in which you starred as Titania, the Fairy Queen. The role, in fact, that led to your discovery. Seraphine, yours and Abe's and Dinah's closest equivalency is the Garden of Eden, the site of the original sin and a place deemed by the Lord to be more than humanity deserved. At this As a point of clarity, even before the particle wars, neither of you had ever seen a garden like this that was so flush with life and things in bloom and densely populated with living, buzzing things. The forest floor from the entrance that you came through all the way to the end of the orchard is carpeted with lush, fragrant flowers. There's a rainbow of just roses that grow in order from like a gossamer white to velvety black. Small pathways have been cut away to the left and the right to another large patch of tulips that are similarly arranged, and a section of what are clearly wildflowers that's carefully roped off and marked with a heart. You can see lilies and lavender and daisies and baby's breath and flowers you've never even heard of before. And all paths converge to a cluster of beehives that are in the center of the field. Toward the back, but just before a second curtain of lace lichen, you can see 3 large silos, each of which is constructed from wood and corrugated metal with some kind of hermetic seal around the top, probably 12 feet high and 20 feet in diameter, feasibly mistakable for stunted sequoias at a distance. As she moves, Bee is headed straight for the hives. She is donning a white gas mask and waving a bottle that's steadily pumping a sweet, cherry-scented fog. Elsewhere in Petrie have their heads together over a set of field notebooks that they appear to be cross-referencing something in. And Atlas and Forsythia, I'm assuming, do you want to head to the grain silos and start siphoning? Do you want to take soil samples before you go? What would you like to grab before you guys head out?
A few soil samples for comparison is always a great idea if you're doing field analysis. And grains, obviously. We gotta eat. No adventure runs on an empty stomach.
Do you wanna grab some extra greens for Lady to snack on while you guys are gone?
Yeah, Lady
Of
is
course she's
actually.
bringing Lady.
Why does
Oh.
she have to go?
Lady is probably a value.
Forsythia turns to you. Do you say this in context?
Do you say this to us, or do you say this where everybody can hear?
Out of character.
Okay.
Character commentary.
Because Forsythia was about to let you know what was
Okay.
what, it sounds
I'm
like.
not gonna be rude. I'm not gonna be rude, but that fucking so too.
That's cool. That's cool. Lady actually mostly takes care of herself. She's a carnivore.
She's a strong, independent carnivore.
That makes Seraphine feel worse. She's a
That's
carnivore.
not helping. That's not helping.
I'm gonna say for style that Dinah has followed Forsythia and is asking her questions about Lady, and Seraphine is just overhearing this in horror.
For those of you watching at home who didn't watch last week, Lady is Forsythia's familiar, and she's literally a ladybug this big.
Why is she so big?
Because she ate food grown in irradiated soil.
Apparently she ate people too.
Yeah, I mean, nuclear fallout is bad for everybody, it turns out.
It was hard
Officer
times
here,
for everyone.
Say that and say, remember, my partner died of radiation sickness, so.
Bad shit happens.
So you guys have a moment to kind of just like explore. If you want to look for any of the, you're probably not, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to find the legendary herbs in this fucking garden 5 feet away from where you slept last night. But there are other things
You're
here.
not gonna find anything?
What if
I want to roll investigation.
to find it?
Have at it.
I'm
I
gonna roll
wanna
my tiny
to
die.
find- I want to roll to find the fucking shit that we need. Alright.
Look at these mortals challenging God.
Look at these
Go for
mortals
it.
Challenging God. Bree, I need that on a t-shirt. I'm
Oh,
writing that
no.
down.
That's not a nat 20 face.
I don't think I like your face. Alright, no. You know what? No, I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna roll.
You
it.
sure you don't want to go foraging through this garden that
I
you've
got a
never
9.
been to before?
I got a 9.
On a 9, I'm not going to be an asshole here. On a 9, you do kind of like think about going and looking for some of the harder to find items. Like, what if they are here? And you go into like a sprig of like a tuft of grass that is poked up. It's near some rose bushes, and you stick your hand in and start digging around and prick your finger on a vein and take 1 point of damage.
What
On
do
a
you
not
need
on
to
a vein,
roll?
on a thorn,
Yeah.
and take 1 point of damage.
Yeah.
What?
Then I need to roll investigation.
I will let you roll investigation or nature.
If I were feeling froggy.
If you were feeling froggy, if you wanted to leap right now, You would roll me investigation or nature, and you would get a nat 20.
I'm gonna roll both.
No, pick one.
Doesn't matter. I
Okay.
didn't find anything good.
Okay.
I probably just found some trouble. No, no.
What'd you get?
I got a 6 for investigation, and I got 12 for nature.
Okay, so you're okay, you didn't find anything, but you didn't do too terribly on nature, so you don't stick your hand in a patch of poison ivy.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm sorry I challenged you, God.
Look at these mortals challenging us.
I have been-
Putting that on a sticker.
I have been humbled. I'm
Listen, I'm a DM too. They love to try.
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I
Okay.
just had to, see.
No, I believe in you. I appreciate the ambition. I genuinely do. If you had gotten in at 20, I probably would have thrown up. To tell you the
You
truth.
would have pulled the Brennan face.
Yeah, I probably would have thrown up and just gotten up and left the table.
I'm
So,
just saying that has happened to me during Blackness and
Yeah.
Well, that's
where
the end of today's game.
Mhm.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I have
Well-
to write my
you
horse
or
story
Kiki
now.
who are asking
Because
for
my
some
sister
shit that I
broke
didn't
the
plan
mechanics.
for.
nothing will ever beat Kiki asking for the ship's manifest, though.
I keep forgetting that we're supposed to be looking for some shit until Seraphine brings it up. I'm glad somebody's remembering.
Hey, I found the first one.
You did. You guys are on it. I'm just so
You're just
distracted.
adventuring.
So, you guys do kind of just sort of kick over some rocks and shit and try and just see if it's under the rocks, and it's not there.
Stupid are we?
So, well, you poke around a little bit, but you don't
those
find a
rocks
legendary
alone.
ingredient down the street.
Just gonna kick this rock and see if there's a legendary ingredient under it.
Yeah, to see what happens.
Low-key trying to find some ingredients for some asshole plague doctor here, and I can't even.
But, Petrie does see you guys kind of trying to find things.
And
And
Dinah walked up to a rock and was like, "We used to ride these babies for miles." And nobody gets the joke but Seraphine and Abe.
I can neither confirm or deny this. The audience will just have to wonder forever. But Petrie does kind of see that you are looking for something and doesn't snap out of work mode, but kind of downshifts into these are not people I command, and walks over and has sort of fixed her face and has stopped preparing to give orders. Appreciate your patience. We don't usually make this trip until the fall to watch the leaves change, so there's just a mite more to do. You are looking for some things. You had a list, right?
Yes. We need the 2 things that we didn't find yet is what we need. That's what we need.
Roman gave you a long list. I'm just a piece of shit, and I haven't actually passed that on
It's
to
in
you.
Discord.
It's somewhere in my notes, but
Cool.
can we look at all this?
Okay.
I have the list.
Well done.
We are looking for resurrection moss and sequoia bark.
Ha!
There were some smaller ingredients that were on there. He did not say what they were for, but they are on the list. There's some marshmallow root, some chaparral, and a couple of other things. Petrie kind of scans the list, and then her eyes get real wide at one of the ingredients. And she kind of looks around for a second and looks back at you. And you can see wheels turning in her head, but you've seen the list. There's nothing. It's not like find me ayahuasca. There's nothing like that on the list
Are
that
we
should
surrounded by sequoias?
make her make that face. And she elsewhere. I need your Latin. Come here. And shows him the page and points, and he starts laughing.
You have this shit in your fucking garden, and I rolled.
No. Elsewhere starts laughing, and he says, I'm gonna assume that some of these ingredients are not for you and your purposes. You said you were on an errand for somebody, right?
Just kidding.
Are they a drug dealer?
He just kind of looks at Aubergine.
Their business
So
is
yes.
not my business?
So yes.
Yes.
Because 3 of these ingredients are for an ancient psychoactive brew that was popular in ancient Greece. We can get them for you, and whoever ingests them is in for a wild ride, but barley, ergot fungus, and I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't remember the third ingredient, will make you go batshit crazy.
I mean, their business is not my business.
No. It kind of is our business now because this son of a bitch led us to believe it was something important.
No. Let me clarify. The things on this list, the resurrection moss, the sequoia bark, Petrie kind of explained to me that you're trying to make some kind of drug for, for memory?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Those things, that is correct. We can make it better because the person who came up with this recipe is clearly a chemist and not a botanist. So if you would like it to work effectively and efficiently, maybe let us just tinker with it just a little bit. Just
Aubergine immediately says yes because this is supposedly going to help the Black Mariah. So instantly says yes.
He's got the right idea. The basic chemical structures are there, but there are botanicals that will boost this. We call it an adjuvant, and it will make it much stronger, and it will make it work more efficiently for longer. So there's.
Can I just ask an out of character question?
Yes.
To refresh my memory.
Yeah.
So the Bureau fucks with people's memories, and Neuron is making this drug to help that.
This drug is specifically for the Black Mariah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know what the composition is necessarily,
Right,
but
that's
he
the
did say that it would
purpose.
help. Yeah.
Because she's being brainwashed by the Bureau, and this is going to help heal her brain.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Thank
Mhm.
you.
And Petrie, she smiles really proudly at Elsewhere. And she says, Elsewhere is our taxonomist. So he remembers the name of pretty much everything that grows, at least here in the woods. And his work has been invaluable in repairing the ecology here. Also, Elsewhere, do you want to make Kaikion? Because we can. And Elsewhere turns and looks at you, Forsythia. Almost like he is looking at you for permission.
Well, with a lofty goal like that, who could say no? But be careful, boy.
I'll be with Petrie, right? And Petrie's like, fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. After this, after we do whatever
But
this
I know
is.
Petrie. Petrie isn't always careful either.
I will be careful this time. She doesn't look like she
Alright.
believes herself when she says it. But yeah, so Elsewhere is delighted that you have said yes, and Dinah has perked up from where she is over with whoever. I think she's with B. I forget where I sent Dinah. She's here
Do
somewhere.
I notice this?
Yeah, Dinah has perked up and is just listening very intently about this psychoactive beverage, and very pointedly not looking at Seraphine. I would like to point out that I'm an adult in the eyes of God and the law.
You were also
On paper,
on the
sure.
job, You're not on vacation.
I'm on vacation, and I'm gonna do whatever drugs I want to do on my vacation.
We're no, we're working.
Maybe you're working, I'm on vacation.
Do you want me to send you home?
You can't.
Are you sure about that?
Do you want me to put you in a headlock again? Been a long time, but I bet you I still can.
Why are you acting like this?
Because you won't let me do drugs with my new friends. Yes.
Aubergine wants to roll for stealth because if we go back 2 sessions ago when we first got into the woods, if we remember correctly, Aubergine found a fuck ton of cannabis. Remember?
Yes,
A
she
ton of
did.
Cannabis.
Marijuana.
What Aubergine would like to do is stealthily break off a nug and slide it to Dinah.
I am going to roll sleight of hand for Dinah.
And I'm gonna roll
I wanna
stealth for
roll-
Aubergine.
You want to roll perception? Go
I
ahead.
want to roll perception for this.
So we have 3 rolls happening right now.
What is happening?
That's a dirty 20, my friends. I saw that shit.
I rolled a 3, so I was.
Dinah rolls a dirty 20 on sleight of hand. So did you? Dinah also rolled a dirty 20, sleight of hand. So Seraphine, we're gonna roll again.
What are we rolling?
We tied, so you're gonna roll perception again, and I'm gonna roll sleight of hand again.
Alright. 1, 2, 3, shoot. No, that's not wrong.
Dave is very proud of that.
Are you fucking shitting me?
Thanks, Dave.
What'd you roll?
I rolled a 6.
Oh, thank fucking Christ, because I rolled a way lower this time. Dinah rolled a 12. But that's enough. So you don't see this handoff happen.
That's bullshit. I want my dirty 20 back.
But I will say, on a dirty 20... No, I'll say this. On a dirty 20, you notice it, you are just not fast enough to do anything about it before it vanishes into Dinah's pocket. And Dinah just... It's quick as hell.
Practicing that.
Always.
I want a mug with just a weed leaf that says cannabis.
Wait, so, okay, so now, if you have that, which I definitely didn't see you pass over, Aubergine, there will be no psychoactive Hunter S. Thompson juice today.
What if I need it?
For what?
There's wolves that live here.
So many good ones.
All the more reason to not...
What if I have to punch a wolf in the face?
You would do that sober.
I know, but don't you think I'll be better at it if I'm Hunter S. Thompson?
Can I borrow both of those for song titles? What if I punch a wolf in the face, and I'd be better at it if I was Hunter S. Thompson? Thanks.
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah.
Psychoact Hunter S. Thompson. Okay. I'm writing down all of the best quotes from today.
Seraphine just kind of sighs and just resigns herself to coming back to this later. We're going to come back to this later.
Fine, we come back to everything later. I'll stick it under my cap and we'll come back to it later.
Please do. We'll revisit this.
And she kind of starts and she's, oh shit, wait a minute. BD? Shit, BD. And then she kind of like feels around for a minute. BD. I need you to go to the car and get the bag. No, not that bag. I have that bag. I'm talking about the other bag.
What other bag?
Just make sure, listen, just make sure the boys get back all right. And bring me the bag.
Semi, like, corporeal, giant, invisible friend named Big Dello.
And then catch up. Okay? Okay. Dinah listens for a moment to empty air and nods before performing what looks like one half of an intricate Parent Trap style handshake. And you kind of have to admire the way that Dinah is Dinah no matter what. Seraphine, this comes as no surprise to you. Dinah's the exact same person she was at 6 years old the day you left for the convent. She's just taller and now she has a gun.
And apparently drugs.
Yeah, I mean, definitely drugs. You saw that happen. No, you didn't. Just kidding.
I told her that I saw that.
That's true. You did. You see everything. I think she just assumes that you see everything. In a world of this brave new world of gods and monsters, where the prime directive is to stamp out every trace of the individual and poison the well to make sure that the individual doesn't get any ideas about showing its face ever again, it's kind of nice that your sister has, if anything, gotten weirder. Petrie is kind of watching this happen, but also like kind of nodding over your heads to other people. Forsythia, she nods at you when she sees that you and Atlas are at the silos and siphoning grain, and kind of like makes a motion like she's keeping track of time and will be over to you in a second. And she radiates with something that I think only you really know, Aubergine, which is the feeling of getting to do the thing you love more than anything. And better than that, being good at it, being the best. If you focus on her and that thing in her, that thing that seems to be in all of the people who have made their home here, you can almost remember what it felt like. Petrie watches your exchange of the pass off of the cannabis, and she has children, so she just kind of, okay, I didn't see shit. And she has this almost indulgent smile on her face, and Forsythia, I actually want to ask you a question before we proceed. it's been a long time since you guys had strangers in the Grove that weren't Alice and her shitty friends. How are you, and I'm going to ask for Atlas to you as well, since you would know better than anybody. How do you feel about having visitors for, I think, the first time really ever?
Just kind of looks at Forsythia and goes, well, okay. Forsythia has been kind of glancing up over her shoulder in between gathering grain for the trip, and kind of keeping an extra eye on everyone. Like, she was earlier definitely about to say some shit about y'all turning over rocks because somebody put those rocks there for a reason.
Oh boy.
But Atlas instead, before she can pick a whole fight, kind of gets her attention and is like, it's weird, huh? And she just goes, yeah, as long as they know how to be respectful. And she just goes back to busying herself with the grain.
I'm sorry we turned over your rocks.
I think Aubergine.
Y'all just got black mommed, and you weren't even there for the conversation.
I feel really bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no,
we turned over
Aubergine
your
starts
rocks.
putting the rocks back where they were going.
Just,
You could sense
you
it.
can just feel the disapproval that's radiating from
Oh, yeah, she
from
could feel the
Forsythia.
black mom happening, and so Aubergine just starts putting rocks back where they had been.
And I'm sorry that your giant bug creeps me out. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I figured Lady was happening by earlier when you got distracted. Let that slip away from you.
You
Just be an art now where anytime like lady comes around, Seraphine really tries, but she does like the lady and keeping up.
Seraphine's
just,
full, like
drops.
visibly sweating. Mhm.
And then, like, at that moment where you're, like, about to break through, Lady just, like, spreads her wings and buzzes away.
It's just, no, I can't.
And Seraphine absolutely screams and then tries to look like nothing happened.
She's letting like the Key and Peele sketch with the.
Yup.
Just, I love ladies so much.
Lady's a real one. Lady's the homie. I put, you all won't see it this week, but I did put Lady on the Roll20 token for Forsythia as a companion.
That's hysterical.
So in love with this. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm getting the grain,
Okay.
and then I just sort of rejoin everyone else at whatever moment that would be.
Okay. So you do see that Petrie and Birdie have kind of put their heads together and are looking at Dinah and pointing at her, like, and it's not like a rude kind of point, but they are trying to very covertly kind of point out something that she's wearing. She is wearing a blade on her left hip, and yes, they seem very interested in the blade that she's wearing. It's about this time that I am gonna need Aubergine, CB, Seraphine, and Forsythia to roll perception for me.
14.
Woof.
15?
15.
Okay.
15s.
15?
9.
Okay. So actually, CB, I should not have had you roll because the sound that they hear, almost not until it is right on top of them, except for Forsythia, is that of a revving engine. Engine moving at top speed, faint, and then louder and louder and closer and louder until finally, from the right of those of you who are standing in the bone orchard, the Jeep that Roman Gamble acquired and loaned you comes bursting out of the tree line and stops on a dime without a single tire tread, meeting the boundaries of the forest, the bone orchard. Seraphine and Aubergine, you watch as a tense-looking August and CB exit the car. August gets out of the car, doesn't bother to close the door behind him, and sprints for Petrie. And slams into her, essentially, and she has... Yeah. Mom, I saw Heather and I think she's in trouble. She made a distraction so we could take the car, but I heard a howl and then there wasn't anything, and then she said they were right behind her. And she drops everything that she is holding and just wraps him in a hug and completely engulfs him for a minute. And CB, you can see from where you are, August is shaking. And Petrie keeps one arm around him and kind of lifts her head for September to join her and jerks it this way, she steps back just enough that she can kind of catch her face in his hands and say, okay, it's okay, sweetheart. You did great. I need you to take a deep breath and start again and tell me what happened to Hither. He doesn't stop shaking and hyperventilating until September's huge fucking hand lands on the back of his neck and just kind of squeezes. And when he catches his breath, he looks at UCB, and his eyes have gone from like the sort of gold hazel color that they are. They have gotten dark as his pupils expanded with worry.
August time, not September.
Yes.
Got it.
We went to get the car, and before we could leave the clearing, Hither came out. She said Alice was really, really mad about last night, and they were getting ready to leave to come after us, and that she would buy us some time, but she looked so scared. Mom, what if something... And she stoops down mid-sentence and just kisses him on the forehead. And she pauses there for a minute, and when she straightens up, she pops her neck, and her eyes are like a hard, glassy blue. It's okay, August. It's okay. Everyone, listen up. It looks like our timetable has been moved up yet again. The former Dr. Ballard is apparently unhappy about losing her meal last night and is presumably coming to exact revenge, so I would like to humbly suggest we not be here when she arrives. The car will have to stay here. It'll be safe, this area is protected, but there's no way you're making it through Low Country with it.
So, no car because too much noise?
Too much noise, too many trees.
Too many trees. That makes sense. I plugged the car.
It'll be safe.
Can we park it somewhere else? Or is it okay?
Leave it here.
Got it.
Birdie? And she is already moving by the time Petrie says her name and says, got it, and walks through a curtain of lace lichen, like the one you entered through, on the far side of this garden, and disappears.
I run back to the car, I grab my cyber pack, probably like whatever survival kit we still had in there, and I shut the door, I lock it, I close the car, and I run back to everybody getting...
She nods as you do that, and she says, Micah, elsewhere, you have 60 seconds to pull whatever else you need, and then we are moving. Am I understood? And they nod instead of answering verbally and are both moving. Micah follows Birdie, and elsewhere disappears somewhere behind the beehives. Forsythia, you have dealt with Alice Ballard enough times to know that this is not great for you guys. Her wolves are very hungry and they are very fast. And more than that, the hand that feeds them is attached to someone who is fundamentally insane and has very few qualms about injuring people with her actions. You roll insight for me real quick.
Everyone?
No, just for Forsythia.
6.
Okay. Elsewhere moves too quickly for you to see the expression on his face. But you know what Alice did to Elsewhere. You know that she sticks those wolves on him, and every time that you are out in the field and you face them, it's a struggle for him. He doesn't talk about it very often, and he certainly doesn't like to show that he feels less than great about interacting with these wolves. But Atlas turns and looks at you, and there's an expression of worry on his face because he knows that now you have the pack at your back as you move. So Petrie has given the order for everyone to get swept up. Seraphine and Aubergine, is there anything that you do in response to this whole situation? Because CB's been gone for probably about 30 minutes and came back and all hell broke loose.
I think that Aubergine was already ready to go. Like, she had her backpack on, she's dressed for adventuring. Like, this was just a short stop on our further trip, so I don't think this is...
Once Abe just like shit on my brain, I was ready to go.
I think
I give CB a pat on the back because
yeah.
August ran in and hugged his mom.
And I tell them basically what happened, that there were people in the visitor center. This girl came out who was very close to August, like emotionally. There was a pinky thing. Anyway, giant wolf howl, very scared people. We ran away.
CB, for reference, August did not take you through the park. He took you out of the park, back to the freeway, all the way around to the entrance that you came through on the northeast or the northwest section of the park. So he went out of his way to stay out of the forest. That's why he was going in a direction that you didn't recognize.
I explained that. That he purposely took us out of the woods and then back in.
Yeah. On Petrie's command, Micah and Elsewhere obviously are both gone, pulling things from the soil or scraping at branches and sweeping fallout into small, clear containers. Containers that Elsewhere got from you, Forsythia. And you can see that the brigade, Forsythia, Atlas, Birdie, Bee, have all started to follow suit, and there's an air of hustle about them as you all start to like sweep in a moving fashion. Dinah jumps again, and she comes face to face with a leopard print rainbow Jansport backpack that appears to be just hanging in midair about chest height. Jesus, BD! Send up a flare or something next time. You cannot keep playing games with my blood pressure like this. She takes the bag like out of the air, and there's a little bit of resistance, like someone is holding on to it. And she unzips it just enough to get an arm and jam it inside up to the elbow. And she feels around, and apparently satisfied, she rearranges her shotgun and slides the backpack onto her back, and just looks at you as though nothing out of the ordinary has happened. And Petrie says, okay, do you want to talk about that, or shall we go?
That's Big Douglas.
Yeah.
Sure. Big Douglas, right. Excellent. I have children. It's fine. Let's go. So, it takes another 45, 50 seconds or so for everyone to kind of converge around where the beehives are. And then Petrie, and I would assume, I think Petrie would turn to you, Forsythia, and ask you to walk in the front with her. At least until we get out of the area. Will you just be my extra set of eyes up here?
I mean, can't none of these kids slow down long enough to see some of the stuff on the paths anyway.
Listen, if you walk in the front with me just until we get to Low Country, if you want to stop and show them all of the sites that you and Atlas have worked on, I will have no objection. I just want to get us out of here.
Let's
Okay. You begin to move in like a northerly sort of direction through this mansion-sized garden, through a series of more thick sheaves of lichen. Micah shoulders his way through the pack with what looks like a squirrel perched on his shoulder. Its left ear is mostly gone. It looks like it has been chewed off or burned off. You are not 100% sure. And the squirrel looks about as frantic as Micah does. However, that is just Micah's expression. That's just his face. He just looks panicked always. And he sort of pushes through, and not you, Forsythia. He very carefully makes sure that you see him and moves around you, but does kind of like shoulder Petrie as he moves to get to the front, and he says, I should probably go first. They don't particularly like being surprised. 1 second. And he disappears through the little curtain of growing green things, and eventually pops his head out after about a minute or so and says, okay, you can come through. And
Micah is Petrie's youngest, right?
No, Micah is another one of the brigade.
Okay.
He's the one who made dinner for you guys last night.
Okay, the adults. Okay, one of the adults.
The field that you move through as you continue in this northerly direction isn't really a field at all. You step into rich, dark brown soil, courtesy of one Dr. Forsythia Hart, that speaks of moisture and fertility, and you find not flowers, but mushrooms. Hundreds of thousands of mushrooms grow in an area about the size of a soccer field, ranging in size as you proceed on the clearly defined path, from no bigger to a penny to the size of a stump at the base. Some glow in the daylight, wet bioluminescent blues and purples and greens contrasted against like fungal russets and browns. The magnificence of the garden you were just in is paralleled here by the square inch. It's a forest of knee-high trees inside of a forest of giant trees. And he looks proud, but also kind of nervous, and also like he's in a hurry. Micah just generally looks like a very conflicted man. For Scythia, you know that he has just a nervous temperament in general. Welcome. Shit.
Oh, yeah.
He trips over a tree branch as he is moving to welcome you and just barely managed to catch himself and his squirrel. Welcome to the Mycelium Menagerie. I would say feel free to look around, but we don't have time for that. So, look as you go, and on the way back, maybe we can talk about mushrooms. Welcome.
These are like the good ones, right?
There's all kinds of mushrooms here. Do you want the good ones? I have those.
Yeah.
I
mean, maybe not now, because like we need to go.
Okay, yeah, no, that's you're probably right, but I do definitely want to talk about mushrooms later whenever you have the time for that. That's of interest to me.
Poor Scythia just goes, we need to get moving.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, yeah. Sorry, what were you asking?
You're good. I loved that whole moment. I just want to tell y'all appreciate the levity of like how much Aubergine is into drugs.
Uh-huh.
I'm really happy. So me as Mazz knows that mushrooms conduct electricity and can be a power source.
I did not know that.
Yeah, mushrooms conduct electricity.
Would
can use
you
them,
like-
basically as a field of batteries?
Would you like
Nope.
to roll me an Arcana check
Yes,
right
That's
now?
our weird science
What?
fact of the session.
Since you knew that, without being told, roll it with advantage.
CB doesn't know that, but I know that.
That's fine. Roll it with advantage.
That's pretty
Thank
fucking
you.
cool.
Yeah.
That's rad.
I did not know that.
Thanks to mention 20 of mice and murder. That's literally how I learned that.
Yep, that sounds like a
Brennan
D20
just
fact.
knows
Yeah, that's a
shit.
Brennan thing. That's absolutely a Brennan Lee Mulligan fact.
Brennan just knows shit. Okay, so hold on.
With advantage, you can roll twice.
Okay, yep. Glad that I rolled twice.
Yeah.
So the second one was a nat 2. I got a 19.
On a 19,
Right? Hold on.
In case
Yes.
you can't do math.
on
Can't
a...
do math. I'm a can't do math kid.
Me too.
Yep. 19.
On a 19, you look down at your cyber deck, mostly to kind of try and figure out where you're going. You only have old maps for reference that you were able to pull up last night before you went to bed, presumably between when you saw August and January and when you actually went to sleep.
Everything that I found in the visitor center, I stayed up super late just trying to memorize.
Shouldn't have put that big of a piece of Cheeto in my mouth. One sec.
Yes.
This is out of my control now.
All you know how to do is eat Cheetos and lie.
They're my two favorite things. Okay.
I have that snack life every session.
On a 19, you look down at your cyber deck, and there is a different beacon on your map. There is the beacon that is the car, because you still have that running, but there is a different beacon that is pointing toward the center of this field of mushrooms. As you move further north through the field on the trail, you watch as the beacon pulses persistently. And it almost seems like the light is getting brighter on the screen as you get closer. And you are you're moving forward, I presume, to try and find or get closer to whatever the source is. And you get almost to the dead center of this field before Birdie stops you and puts a hand on your back and says, I wouldn't go any further. It'll fry your shit.
Thank you.
You're going to want to turn that off at least until we get out of the field, and then you're good to go. And she...
I think I pick up Rivet and turn it off.
And he just sort of slumps.
Aubergine
He
does
takes
not
a little
like
nap.
that at all.
He takes a little nap. You're used to this, but Aubergine, I think, is definitely like, that's his animation for going to bed? Cool. And as you...
Sophia goes, Lord have mercy, we have 2 interns on this trip.
And as you move closer, Birdie turns and says, Dinah? And Dinah's probably somewhere near the back with you. She's on vacation, so I'm not sure she really understands the severity of what's happening right now.
She's not on vacation. She's on a job.
She's definitely on vacation.
She's not on vacation.
In her heart, she's on vacation.
She's not on vacation.
And Dinah looks up when Birdie calls her. And Birdie says, Petrie and I have a bet going, and I'm wondering if you'll help me with a practical demonstration. Dinah says, depends on the bet and if you're paying me. No. Are you planning to, like, expound at all? Or, sure, yeah, no, whatever. I'm not doing anything. I'm on vacation. Sure. What do you need? And Birdie says, your knife. Dinah smiles. She says, my knife. You noticed. Birdie says, of course I noticed. Does it do what I think it does?
Does CB know it?
No. Dinah's knife gives off the same signature as Birdie's tech.
Oh, interesting.
Dinah smiles, takes the knife off of her hip, and throws it at Birdie. The blade stops. Birdie steps back probably about 6 inches, and the blade stops where she was and hovers. And Birdie waves her hand underneath it and over it. And she looks at Dinah and she grins and she grabs it out of the air and looks at it. And CB, your cyber deck is pinging like crazy. It's pinging off of Birdie, it's pinging off of the knife in her hand, and it's pinging off of whatever she stopped you from walking into. She looks at it and kind of like weighs it back and forth and throws it back at Dinah.
In my augmented lenses, what color is it? What does it look like?
It is lavender.
Okay.
It is the first real brand new tech that you have seen Dinah produce. She'd always worn the knife, but it's the first time that you've seen her do anything with technology, honestly.
Yeah.
And Birdie throws it. Dinah steps to the side and looks at it as it embeds itself in a tree, and then, or it like embeds itself behind her, and she kind of goes and grabs it, and she says, I wasn't gonna catch that. So, anyway, and puts it back in the holster that's on her hip, and looking at it, you can roll perception on the knife if you would like.
It is on my perception. It's not my perception. Oh. I have an 8. I won't talk about it.
Wait, am I rolling too?
You can.
What am I rolling? Perception?
It's perception on the knife.
Can I do an Arcana check?
Yeah.
Yes.
Aubergine looks at Big Douglas and goes,
14.
14?
that's not a knife. That's a knife.
That's a knife.
Oh wait, knifey spoonies.
I
That's
got
not
it.
a knife. That's a knife. That's a spoon. Ah, I've seen you play knifey spoony before.
I got a 23 Arcana.
On a 23, you see, you get a little bit,
Give me the DL on this knife.
With a D.
on a 21, you can tell, yes, this knife functions off of nanomite technology. You can tell that this is a custom knife. This is something that was made for her. The craftsmanship is very specific, and it looks kind of familiar to you, but you can't put your finger on where you've seen it before. You also note that there is a small gold, or fairly small comparatively. There's a golden bee cut out of the handle of the knife.
Like a golden, like a honeybee?
Yeah.
I know that bee.
Mm-hmm. And as Dinah puts it away, she says, you know, not long after I got to the West Coast and joined up with the Bombshells, we had turned the soil for the first time, and I remember Lady Prescott would not come out of her room. She was shut up for weeks, and she emerged deranged, dehydrated, and holding an armful of the most beautiful leather and suede jackets I've ever seen. Never did see him again now that I think on it. she and Birdie grin at each other, and you aren't 100% sure what the joke is, but you do note all of the jackets that the Blight Brigade is wearing look brand new, despite the fact that they live in a forest with no obvious access to a laundry service. And yeah, so they share that moment of having the same technology. You're not 100% sure what the fuck Lady Prescott has to do with it. You did meet her. She's one of the bombshells. But you...
Is that their hacker?
Nope.
No.
Nope, she's Bambi's girlfriend.
That's right.
So Dinah holsters her knife, and you are able to see as you move forward, Birdie waves her hand, and a huge portion of the center of the field lights up. And thousands of nanomites rise from the soil, and she says, I think this might be what you were looking for. This is where they live. Well, this is where we make and house them.
This is your lab.
It's localized.
Got it. Yep. Yep, this tracks.
So if you see anything similar on the way up there, don't panic. They're just keeping an eye out.
I will never not be surprised. I'm continuously flabbergasted, and that's my whole default. And I'm saying this out loud, like this is just my default now. That's what else can you show me?
Birdie
It just says, well, if you want to learn about the soil, you ask the bugs.
I mean, that tracks. That
Birdie-
means nothing to me, but for some reason I believe that that is just obvious knowledge.
Birdie's-
That I should possess but don't. But thank you.
Birdie says, see, look, hey, lady. What do you think? What do you think about this area? Do you like mushrooms?
Lady chitters in response. Just
I
little.
think B is very, very fond of this big, scary bug and kind of like scritches her shell a little bit and says, exactly, see? Bugs know the soil. But
CB
for what
makes
it's...
a note, bugs know the soil.
For what it's worth, kid, a sense of wonder isn't a bad thing. It can only serve you. So just, keep your eyes open. And Micah says, okay. I got all of the mushrooms that I needed to get for the trip in case anyone got hungry or wanted to do drugs, because I understand that that was of interest to some people in our traveling party. So I do have those as well. You can come see me at a later time if you would like. Yep.
Aubergine doesn't verbally respond. She just looks at Dinah
And Dinah just...
I love this Micah dude a lot. This
And-
is Blonde Matthew Gray Googler, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who he's based off of, and that he's just a tall, awkward scarecrow man. He says, okay, well, I think we're ready to go. And Petrie says, okay, you've done brilliantly, Micah. I know it's a lot of people. It's okay. Why don't you go stand in the back near B? She says, I would love to do that. And turns around very abruptly on his heel and moves toward the back with B.
I was gonna run back to get the Power Ranger, and then I reached down to get something out of my pocket, and so I guess I'm ready to go.
She's hot again. Roll insight for me.
God, I love this doll.
You don't think that it is a problem. If you didn't know any better, you would say she only does it when she's mad at you.
Are you really mad because I didn't bring you with me? Like, you're in my pocket.
She gets hotter.
I can just imagine.
Okay, but
just
why are you gonna be a
internal
dick, though?
screaming.
Why are you screaming internally right now?
Dinah is delighted by what is happening. She says nothing, but she has the "you like Krabby Patty" Squidward face on. I knew you guys would be friends.
No, we're not friends. It's like this fucking top doll.
That's why she's mad at you. You said you weren't friends.
I'm saying, she's trying to come along on your trip with you, and you're saying you're not even friends.
I'd be mad.
I don't even know her.
Well, maybe if you stopped saying you weren't friends, you could get to know her.
Are we friends?
Why is this my fault now? Why is my doll being hot my fault?
What'd you do to her?
Why are you hot? Why am I asking that? Why are you hot?
Yeah, we're friends.
She raises one arm. All of the fingers extend on her right hand
There are 5 reasons why you're upset.
and turn into a fist.
There's one. Oh, there's.
Dylon, 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 and Dylon.
Petrie does not know what to make of what just happened and is staring at you and at the doll and just kind of, it's that mom moment of like, I have completely lost fucking control of the situation that I am in.
Rip your little head off.
And Petrie says, okay, this is getting weird, so let's walk.
Oh, weird to you now?
I didn't know that the doll got hot, and I, for some reason,
I
wasn't.
didn't know that the dog got hot.
I wasn't prepared for that
We
information.
slept in a tree last night, and it's getting weird now?
Dinah has like
We sleep in a
physically
tree all the
capable,
time.
invisible friend, and I have a metal arm, and I pick it up and I wave it.
Okay, we are going. No, we are leaving right now. Everybody with
so
me.
Forsythia had like disappeared behind some foliage. That's how far ahead she had gone
Yep.
before she stopped.
Petrie's
Turned
just-
around and said,
And Petrie just gestures to where Forsythia used to be standing. We're leaving. Go forward.
I'm way up ahead like, what in God's green earth
Yep.
are you people back here doing?
You people!
Yeah, the Pink Ranger definitely does extend one arm, but she can only extend from the elbow to the fingertip, so she just in the direction that Petrie is standing. Yeah, so Forsythia's gone, and Petrie has just given up and is stomping forward. Would you like to follow, or do you have a thing happening back there?
Aubergine
No, I put
follows.
her back in my pocket and we're going. Actually, she's in my front pocket now because she wanted to see. I think that's why she was mad.
Okay, she has cooled off.
Aubergine follows but looks at McDellis and says, she just called us you people. You people.
You roll insight for me.
Where are we in relation to Birdie?
You are probably still in the middle with Birdie. Petrie, Forsythia was in the front and is now in the future. Petrie is in the front, and September, August are with her. You, I would say, Birdie, Seraphine, Abe, Dinah, Aubergine are all in the middle. Bea and Micah are bringing up the back. Bea has actually reached into a pouch on her hip and has pulled out some kind of sparkling dust, which she begins to sprinkle on the ground. She looks like a flower girl. She's adorable. So as weird as it looks like a thing she should be doing with her time.
That was a 17 inside.
17 insight. You, from somewhere to the left of and behind you, feel not a warmth, but almost like static. And an overwhelming sense of mild irritation. And, okay, so, yes.
I want to ask Birdie, should I keep my tech off? What's...
Just until we get out of the menagerie, that's where we are. It's Micah's pet project, the Mycelia Menagerie. He grew everything here. He's actually the one who figured out how to grow anything, him and Forsythia. I know he's really weird. I know.
He's awesome. He's so cool.
Have you ever heard of a doomsday cult, kid?
I have now. Maybe no.
Why don't you ask your older friends what a doomsday cult is?
A doomsday what, sorry?
Doomsday cult. Why don't you ask your older friends?
Doomsday cult.
Oh, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, yeah, it's a bunch of people.
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people who get
Micah was
conned
raised
by
in
something.
one of those.
Wait, what?
No.
What?
Micah's real name. And you didn't hear this from me. I'm telling you for context because the kid means well. His real name is Armageddon. Okay? He's doing his best.
So
Micah is the
his
name that-
Armageddon. He was raised in a doomsday cult.
Micah is the name he picked for himself.
So, it.
Why do you think he's so fucking good with mushrooms and weird outside shit?
Well, it kind of stands to reason that the doomsday part of the cult came to pass for Micah's people.
Yeah, how do you think he's dealing with that shit? Actually, to tell you the truth, they're doing pretty okay. He goes and sees his parents every year. They have a bunker somewhere. He just leaves for a couple of weeks, takes off, comes back.
No flavor in or anything?
Apparently, his parents did very well in the apocalypse business.
I mean, here's my thing, right? Like, we all think, I recognize that y'all think it's weird to prepare for apocalypse before we actually had one. And now I'm thinking that Michael's parents are geniuses.
No, it's not like that.
No, it's
And
not like
I-
that. It's a lot
Aubergine
different
gives.
than just getting ready.
From the very back, you hear, it's not like that at all. It's,
Okay.
thank you though. And you just see like a hand from the back of the train of people.
I'm just gonna whisper like, there's a lot of dying.
Aubergine does her best to give
Suicide,
CB like.
You know, they like killed themselves and they want to go be with Jesus so bad.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Aubergine does her best to give CB like top line why doomsday cults are bad.
So,
Usually everyone dies except for like the main people, which is why I asked if Michael's people survived, and that's why his parents did really well.
They exploit a lot of sad, lonely people.
They tell them the world's gonna end, and that the best way to salvation is through them, and they join this cult to give everything up.
So it's a religious thing. But also not.
Usually, sometimes.
But also not. It's basically just they prey on people who need something. They find a need in that person and exploit it.
So not unlike the Oxylus. And the Geiger, basically.
Why are humans so awful?
on that note, we are going to go to our break. And we will be back. We will be back shortly. Please keep hanging. Thank you for hanging out with us during our intermission. Okay. So, you stand now on the far side of the menagerie. The lichen has been pulled shut behind you. Petrie still has one hand on August's shoulder and is having like a low, tense conversation with September. And it ends with both of them kind of nodding to each other. You see them looking at January, and then they sort of come back to the group. And Petrie says, okay, so we're gonna need eyes up ahead because we don't know where Alice is. Elsewhere, you're going northwest. Birdie, you'll be going northeast. September and August will keep eyes out behind us with B, and January is like bouncing. She's trying like not to show that she is like very eager. She's trying very hard to look mature and not doing a great job. January. Your father and I think that you are old enough now to go out with them, so you'll be going north, right ahead of us. Don't vary by even a hair or I'm recalling you. August has been not catatonic, but he's been very quiet and like very kind of in his own head. He comes out of it just enough to kind of like half smile, and you do see like he reaches out like very, very low and fist bumps January very gently.
Excellent. We love that sibling energy.
And Petrie okay. Yes, we're all very excited. Listen, no more than 1.5 miles ahead in any direction, and I want reports back every 20 minutes. Do we understand each other? There's a kind of a chorus of yes ma'ams from the people that she's dispatching. Roll insight for me, everyone but for Cynthia.
18.
Oof.
$15.
7. I don't know what I'm thinking about, but I'm preoccupied.
Cool. There's a lot to look at, honestly. There's a lot going on. I think Seraphine was the highest with an 18.
Hang on, we're having an audio issue.
Are we?
Uh-oh.
Somebody says we can't hear the top row over the music.
Oh, there's still music playing. That's my fault. Thank you. I meant to shut that off.
You blew it.
Thanks for letting us know, chat.
Fucked up.
Being a producer and a performer is hard.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
a lot.
We're
Chat
good.
is verified, we're good.
We're good. They can hear
Abe
us.
says we're good.
Aubergine is preoccupied and doesn't notice shit. Moving on.
On an 18, Seraphine, you look at Abe first, actually. And Abe has kind of a knowing expression on his face. You both served in the Particle Wars, and you recognize the look of people who are preparing to fight something. People who are readying themselves for battle. It's not quite worry, but there's an energy. There's a tension amongst the brigade that suggests that Alice Ballard is perhaps a bigger threat than you were led to believe. But Birdie and Elsewhere and January, who has the biggest smile on her face, do head out ahead. Petrie waits 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then says, okay, let's go. And proceeds to just walk, ultimately, straight forward. Okay. Welcome to Low Country, everyone. This is technically Kings Canyon National Park, but it'll take us up to a campsite to rest and then on through Jenny Lakes and further north. We have outposts along the way, but for the most part, from this point forward, it is out of our hands. So stay close and don't go wandering. It'll be a hard push, but I intend to put some miles between us and the pack. So let's get to it. Real quick, I just want to get your walking order. Who's in front, who's in the middle, who's in the back, that sort of thing.
I'm next to August.
Okay, so you're going to be up front.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've got Rivet kind of scouting ahead of us.
Okay.
I'll go somewhere near the middle, and I think Abe should be at the back.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably take someone in the middle.
Okay. So we'll say that CB is up front with August, Petrie, and September. You guys are hanging out in the middle with Atlas and Dinah. And then Abe is in the back with... September's moved to the back. Abe is in the back with September and with B. Okay. You walk for hours. Seraphine and Abe are old hat at this. You did plenty of 10-mile marches. Semiramis was very fond of them, even at a battle outpost. So it's been a while, but your muscles remember with that soldier's efficiency, and they propel you forward at speed without really slowing. The terrain itself isn't terribly difficult to travel. It's predominantly flat, and it's covered with a thick layer of underbrush that dampens the sound of dozens of footfalls as you guys proceed through the forest. Do you guys talk about anything as you walk, or do you think you are just pushing?
I think we're just pushing.
Yeah.
Seems serious.
Okay. So,
I'm following August's lead.
okay. So you guys, Petrie was not kidding. It is a hard push.
I would actually like to modify my answer.
Yes.
While we're not talking about anything, Aubergine is Aubergine, so she's probably singing to herself the whole fucking way. It might get annoying.
Is a pizza for you and me?
Yeah, no, literally, giggles.
Excellent.
Everything.
Excellent. So you guys do hear a very faint Aubergine voice. You hear almost faint human bird song from somewhere in the center of the pack near you. And it does begin to make itself present near your nerves around hour 2. Every 20 minutes, like clockwork, the scouts send back little representatives. An unusually large raven swoops in from the northwest in the direction that Elsewhere went and lands on Petrie's shoulder. It kind of pecks at the side of her face and okay, and flies back out. Wisp materializes in front of you, hovering lazily but glowing stoplight green before it dematerializes once more. And with a mechanical, musical cacophony, an entire swarm of metal goldfinches swoop in and dart in around her head before they zip off back into the woods in the direction that Birdie went. Things go on this way until the sun is high enough in the sky that it's hot even underneath the relatively thick canopy, and you're beginning to feel the fatigue starting to hammer away at your bones and joints. Maybe now you're intimately acquainted with all the places that your shoes pinch and rub and irritate as the sweat creates friction. Pizza's here. The sweat creates friction.
Sophia is back in earshot. She will join it. She will join in behind me.
Excellent.
And she'll also start shooting the shit about music.
Excellent.
Y'all shoot. Y'all fuck with Tracy Chapman.
Okay.
All right.
Now that everyone's been served.
You got served.
Yeah. Things go on this way with the different representatives of the scouts who've been sent out coming back. Like clockwork, every 20 minutes, you begin to come acquainted with the places where your shoes pinch and irritate and maybe don't fit just right. Sweat creates friction between the sock and the sole. Maybe you're just tired of looking at fucking trees, but another 20 minutes go by, and only the raven and the metal goldfinches return. Petrie stops dead in her tracks. Stop! The next thing you hear is from up front, and from beside you, CBS. Mom? Where's... I don't see Wisp. No, my love, you don't. You guys watch in real time as the color blanches from Petrie's face. It drains slowly, and she kind of absently reaches out and puts a hand on August's shoulder and the other on the raven's enormous purple-black feathers, and she whispers something to it, and it takes off. A few minutes go by, and both Elsewhere and Birdie come back. The raven is still there, the goldfinches are not. They come out of the tree lines on either side of you, but neither January nor Wisp are anywhere to be seen. They're now...
CB is visibly concerned.
They're now about 30 to 35 minutes late for their check-in. And Petrie turns and says, 9! September is beside her immediately. And his brow is heavy and tensed. There's something heavy about him, almost like storm clouds collecting. And he says, you already know what I'm going to say. The question is whether or not we try to get hither out. Petrie thinks for a minute, still obviously distracted and kind of smoothing her hands over her hair like she's trying to hold herself together or hold herself steady, and says, okay, we could bring her up to stay with Hoku and Afua if she'll come. And if she doesn't, then that's her choice, unless she's hurt, January. And then Alice is going to be the least of her already ample concerns. Oh my god. You follow Petrie's gaze, and she is now looking at something off in the distance in horror. Her knees buckle, and she pitches forward, where September has already swooped in to kind of catch her around, like, the forearms. Could the rest of you please roll a perception check for me?
Very upset.
Yeah. I don't know what that was.
Dirty 20, not two.
Dirty 20.
Sorry. Jesus Christ. I keep hitting 6 and 9 wrong. This time I don't know which one is 6 and which one is 9.
Fair.
Fucking not two.
You're more concerned with August than anything, because August's face has also completely lost all of its color. And he is just looking at Petrie,
what
who
was
doesn't...
it?
Perception.
17.
17. 17 and a dirty 20. Floating at its usual leisurely pace, bobbing merrily, maybe 500 feet in front of you, is Wisp. But something has happened. The glowing orb has turned purple, but black, too. It's the color of unfettered entropy and has strange pulsing veins of gold running through it.
Can I check Arcana?
Yep.
Yeah, same. Anybody want more?
Thank you. 18.
18.
Nat 20!
Nat 20.
Perfect delicious.
Nat 20. CB, you don't know how WISP actually works, but
Right.
you've written enough warning protocols to recognize that this is something that has been programmed into it.
This is like a distress signal.
Yeah, it's programmed to do this if January does not come back for some reason. If she can't speak for herself, WISP is there to indicate something is wrong. And Petrie drops all the way to the ground, even though September is holding her, and just stares, and she says, 9. She's got her. Alice has our baby. I just know it. I knew she was too young to go out scouting, and September puts his hands around her and tries to haul her up, and she is not moving. And he says, she goes out on her own all the time, and we were right here. Wait, how did they get in front of us?
Do you want us to go get her?
Petrie
Me and Dinah and Abe can go get her.
Petrie is not really verbal, but September turns his head to look at you. As you say that, Dinah says, where? Seems like you folks know these woods the way most people know the towns that they grew up in, so where would she take her? I'm assuming she wants you to find them, right? So it can't be far.
They was exactly what I was thinking.
Petrie is almost catatonic. And she just keeps saying she's got her. Alice has our baby. Dinah stomps up to her, moves around in front of her, and takes her face in both of her hands and says, hey! And it's loud enough that it pulls Petrie out of it just a little bit. And I'm going to have Dinah roll persuasion real quick. Dinah rolled a 16 on the die, and she has a +6 to persuasion. So she says, hey, and waits until Petrie is looking directly at her and says, listen to me. I know what Alice Ballard is capable of, and you are right to be afraid of what she might do with your daughter, but that's all the more reason to put a fucking hustle on it and go get your kid, don't you think? So you point us in a direction, and we will go, and we will get her, if that's what you need. But she's not going to want to see me when we find her. She's going to want to see you. So you got to be the strongest version of yourself that you have ever been when we find her. Petrie blinks once, and then again, and then again. And when she opens her eyes this time, the haze has cleared, and there's a spark of determination in her eyes. She looks over to Dinah, and then to you and Abe, and then to Elsewhere. And Elsewhere seems to know what she's asking. And she nods too. Bear Paw Tent Cabins. That's where they'll be.
Let's go then.
Bear paw what? Sorry?
Bear Paw Tent Cabins, it's a campsite that we used to go to for vacation.
I'm already
Weirdly.
heading for the tree line.
Rivets at your heels.
Yeah, Dinah and Abe are right behind you. And
So if he's with you and I'm still behind you, he can give you the help action.
you continue northward as planned, but it is at a breakneck pace now. Petrie is at the head of the pack, and she is walking so quickly that it is just shy of running. She's ducking under branches, and she's vaulting over exposed tree roots, and shortly behind her is September, and then August, and you guys in the brigade.
I just want to say out of character that I just realized why she was calling September 9. Just realized that.
This is the 9th month.
Yeah.
Also, I have a really important clarifying question.
Yes.
Because the way Dinah was saying, I know what Alice is capable of, is it because she, absorbed the same information when we did? You can't tell me the answer to this. Okay, it's exactly what I thought.
Okay, cool.
Dinah heard of Alice before this. Just so we all know.
Just so we all can understand what's happening here.
Fuck.
Layers upon layers.
How many people know people? Did you build a web? Did you draw
You
a web
have
of
no idea.
connections, like a family tree?
I have a lot of
low-key-
a lot of Google Docs
I
open right
started
now.
a family tree when we started this campaign,
Oh, no.
and it is very much outdated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough paper. I need
It's
one the size of
outdated.
Charlie Day.
Can we just start? I have a whiteboard. Can we just start keeping the whiteboard with
And
like
it gets
string
worse.
and post-it notes?
Oh
That's
yeah,
what I need.
because Spencer has seen some of this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I get
it gets
some
a lot worse.
behind-the-scenes
Yeah, so
logs.
has Bree.
Oh,
They've seen some of the background stuff for this, and it. So anyway,
I need another alcohol.
all the while that you were moving
Cheers to
forward,
that.
Wisp floats threateningly a few dozen paces ahead of the lot of you. Are you preparing anything in particular right now, or are you simply trying to keep up? Like, is your gun loaded? Is your shit charged? You know, that
All
kind of a thing.
my-
But we're always in it.
Okay.
All of my tech is charged, but I also have a. This is something I forgot about until recently. In one of our early sessions, not Judas Priestley didn't give it to me. Who gave it to me? Somebody gave me a gun, and I have it.
Yes, you have a 32
I
Beretta.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm ready to cast some spells if I need to. I've got my arm is like clicking and whirring and lighting up to prepare a spell.
Okay.
And I've got my crowbar in my other hand as I'm running.
Okay. Yeah, Seraphine, for clarification's sake, you have 9 bullets left in your clip. Because you've only... Sorry, no, you have 6 bullets left in your clip. Because you fired one just in the streets.
Yeah, at the fucking theater.
Okay, can we stop bringing that up, please, guys?
I know.
And then you fired 2
Seraphine!
in a gunfight.
We were arguing in front of a theater where we were meeting the fucking
Wait.
morticians.
By that math, wouldn't she have 5? Because she definitely shot at Roman.
Oh, you did shoot at Roman.
Oh yeah.
No, I did not.
So you have 5 in the clip. Do you want to just go with the 5 or do you want to reload? I'm going to give you the chance now.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
I haven't shot my gun, have I? I just have it. I
No,
just
you
brandishing
haven't-
it at People.
You haven't shot it since you guys went to the range.
Yeah.
So you should be good.
Okay.
Oh, what guns did Abe bring?
Abe brought a Roman shotgun, and I have so many fucking tabs open right now. He brought a pistol, and then he brought Roman shotgun. Okay, so you guys push, and some of you are reloading, like as you are like hauling ass cross country. Honestly, it looks pretty cool. And finally, it's about 4.5 hours into your hike north. At the new pace that Petrie has set, Low Country once again starts to give way to true temperate forest. And for those of you who know how science works, I'm using a California version of Low Country. I know that Low Country is not in California. I do know that.
DK knows so many things.
It sounds better. Okay, just go with me on
If I was a
this.
person who could get intimidated, that'd be intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that, but the thin forestry that you've been moving through with some admitted difficulty thickens and doubles over on itself until you once again find yourselves literally unable to see the forest for the trees. The air here is slightly colder despite the time of day due to... It's a little strange but not entirely welcome given the miles that you guys are trekking. It's sharp with a hint of something frosted or windswept. And you begin to see rustic, weather-beaten signs that have been subjected to the elements. Sun-bleached, water-warped, and they are announcing that you are finally nearing the Bear Paw tent cabins. Petrie motions for everyone to stop and makes a motion for everyone to kind of just quiet. And it's a few hundred yards before the trees fully thin out and open up into a path that looks bright and well-traveled. Wisp continues down the center path that you were on. And it's this eerie, inexorable drift forward in the direction that you're headed, just out in open space. Elsewhere waits for a nod from Petrie before he darts forward and kind of almost melts into the shadows that are cast by the canopy overhead. He's gone within a few seconds, and he is out of breath when he comes back a minute or two later. Is she here? Along with her furry friends? Of course. 2 of them are waiting for us if we enter from the front. I think it's Russo and Cannon, but I couldn't be sure from the distance. And I definitely didn't see the rest or our resident wood nymph anywhere. So how do you want to do this, Pete?
You said furry friends, and I knew you meant the wolves, but my brain thought about horny people in costumes.
No.
Sorry.
Is it
Wood
really a
furries.
difference though?
Wood furries.
Yeah.
I dig
I
it.
mean, man-eating wolves versus people in costume.
Yeah, I did, and I did specifically say the word furry, so I opened myself up to that.
You did, in fact.
Yeah.
I apologize. Anyway.
I know which one I'm afraid of.
Fair. I'm with you. I'm right there with you.
Not furry shaming, guys.
I'm not. I'm
No,
not
no,
not
no.
at all. Mm-mm. Listen, if Simba walked up to me right now,
Or
I almost
Kobu.
were
Why
offended.
do we have to
TBH.
go there?
I'd have to think about it.
I need shoes.
Huh?
My shoes are falling apart.
Elsewhere says, how do you want to do this, Pete? And she reaches out without looking and puts her hand on his arm, and you can see her hand shaking from how tight she is holding his forearm. And all she says is, bring her back elsewhere. I will deal with Alice. And she lets go. As Dinah says, about them aforementioned others, how many others? Just for curiosity's sake. For that matter, how many legs do they have, these others? Just... As she's saying this, she's taking off her backpack and is digging around inside for something, to no avail, apparently. There's a wolf, so 4 legs, just past where the path splits on either side, and Alice is waiting up ahead. But I cannot stress enough that I do not see all of them.
Is it just? You can't just.
So
go
there's
on.
only one wolf that Petrie can see, but Petrie doesn't trust that there aren't others. So I would say plan for others.
Got it. Got it. Wolves. Wolves and people that control them. Got it. Cool. Woof. Okay.
Aubergine takes a second to look at Petrie and is like, this is not druggy Aubergine, this is not like pop culture Aubergine, this is just straight up emotion, and says, I know what it's like to have your person taken. We are getting her back.
If you can do this, if you can get my daughter back safely, we will make something that will fix your friend. It'll be better than whatever the person who sent you here is promising to make for you. We will see that she's taken care of.
Out of character, we agreed in our weeks off that the Black Mariah is going to be played by my real life best friend, and now I'm incredibly emotionally compromised. I was always emotionally compromised by the storyline because I bought into what we were doing, but now that I'm sitting here and I have to think about Molly's face.
I'm so excited that you said yes. I didn't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Molly
No,
said yes.
that's exciting.
Yeah, she's doing it.
Yeah.
Dinah looks at you, Seraphine, and says, I'm probably gonna go do a bad thing real quick.
What kind of bad thing? Wait, what?
It's literally for a good reason. You're just not going to like
What
it.
is the bad thing?
I'm gonna go. Me and Elsewhere, and he's like, huh? Me and Elsewhere are gonna go distract the wolves so that you can go around and go get her.
CB raises his hand.
Why would you
Big
do
Douglas going with you?
Of course he is.
Good.
Forsythia goes, the hell you are?
No.
Here's the thing.
None.
She finds whatever she was looking for in her bag. She conceals it in the palm of her hand until she gets to Elsewhere, and she presses it into his hands. And all she says is, care for a dance, Mr. Ware?
Mr.
Is it the weed?
It takes him a second to process what he's holding. For Scythia, you especially, you can see the wheels kind of turning in his head. You've seen him solve a problem before. And he figures out what it is and first looks surprised that she has it, and then grins so that you get just a full frontal of teeth and dimples. And he bows to her and he says, I assume you'd like to lead.
Can Aubergine run or roll insight?
Absolutely.
Can I roll perception?
I am deeply amused by this now. I'm not
Oh,
even
no.
worried. I'm gonna roll insight on this.
Go ahead.
Is that one the 6 or the 9?
22.
That's a 9. Okay.
That tracks.
I'm
13.
rolling perception.
Okay.
16.
16. Okay, so Seraphine aptly has the highest insight roll on Dinah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't we love when the die is like narratively proper?
Yeah, it's
Like,
very good.
Just poetic dice. Poetic dice.
On a 22. 1, whatever she gave him, she should not fucking have.
I don't know what that is.
It's definitely, it's illegal enough that Elsewhere was surprised when she put it in his hand.
Is it cocaine?
No.
You know what I got? Cocaine.
Cocaine. No, it's not cocaine.
Sorry.
For Scythia, I would like you to roll insight on Elsewhere, specifically.
Ganna?
No, for
No,
Scythia.
it's-
Oh, okay.
This boy. Thank you.
Dinah, here's what you...
Okay, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. This is the first time you've seen this look on his face, but you saw it on Atlas's face the day that he decided to take Elsewhere under his wing, and it is the look of someone who finally has someone to play with. And you know Elsewhere's history. You know what he did before this. Dinah
What
probably
you
also
have
does
in your
that.
mind to do? What are you're gonna? No. You're crazy.
100%. Yeah.
It's better to just let them do it.
Certifiably. That's why it's gonna work.
It's just better to just let them go.
Feeling the weight of the atmosphere of this planet upon her shoulders. Her dogs are barking. Her skin is scratched up.
Forsythia is such a vibe.
Pacifica's like, I got bills.
I got bills.
You ain't ever gonna see me.
Just come the hell back, all right, Elsewhere.
Elsewhere. And for those of you who are watching,
Where?
yeah, Donna doesn't know his last name.
That's fucking amazing.
But she's still polite and
Uh-huh.
kind.
100%. She was raised right.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, the three of you who have seen him, he's been very quiet. He, like agreeable and obviously like in on the fun in like a very surly, leather jackety kind of way.
Elsewhere is for Cynthia's partner, right?
No, that is
No.
Atlas.
No,
Elsewhere
Atlas
is their protege.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank
For
you.
reference, in my mind, he looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's covered in scars
Aw.
I can see
because
that.
no one can stop me.
Makes me happy.
And
And she knows that this stray human of a person who appeared in her life is just going to be a shitter sometimes.
Mhm. And he knows that you know that, and you guys have seen him very like dark-eyed and intense and kind of intent, and he is all dimples and smiling, and he wheels around and pulls Forsythia into a huge hug. And Forsythia, just quietly enough for you to hear, he says, "I promise, I will be back before the streetlights come on." And
You
he,
better.
yes,
You're
ma'am.
never too old for a whipping.
Don't I know it? Yes, ma'am. I promise I'll come back. Dinah turns to you and says, "Right, so, me and Mr. Ware, and also BD, because I don't go anywhere without him, because that's not how you treat your friends, are going to go distract the wolves. Petrie, keep Alice busy as long as you can. And then the rest of you just sneaksies around. There's got to be a way out, right? Go around to there and come through the back. And sneak up behind her and see if you can't find her. Here's the thing. I figure the more folks go get January, the harder it'll be for them to stop you from taking her back. And I myself would like to take a chunk out of a wolf for making me run on my vacation. So
On vacation
I'm
from
on
work?
vacation. I'm definitely on vacation, and these wolves are interfering with my vacation vibe.
So Thea
I
just
should
says,
be
"Then
out
take
of
a
my
couple more
mind on
chunks for me."
something by now.
Is that why you've been wearing a Hawaiian shirt this whole time?
Dinah unzips like her very cool hologram moto vest, and there is definitely like a Hawaiian shirt
Where'd you get
underneath.
a Hawaiian shirt? Tell me about
And she's
that.
wearing like a lei underneath it.
Yeah, she just zips it back up and is like,
Where did you get that? How did you get a Hawaiian shirt?
"Don't."
Why are you
I
wearing
live with a
Hawaiian
seamstress.
shirt?
Don't worry about it. Look, Look, I'm on vacation, okay? I wanted to dress the part.
You're working. You're not on vacation.
I wasn't supposed to be. I was supposed to be on vacation, but now I'm gonna go distract some wolves because apparently I'm working.
Take your ugly shirt, go so you can come back.
Nobody had to know about my shirt. You're the one who dogged me out in front of all these people. So
Yeah, it's an ugly shirt. Take your ugly shirt, go so you can come back safely, okay?
I like that shirt.
thank
I
you.
also like that
I
shirt.
also like it. It's very comfortable. It breathes.
I like short sleeve button ups of any kind, so.
Anyway, don't worry. I think you'll find that Mr. Ware and I are uniquely qualified
Why?
to go raise a little hell.
Why do you call him Mr. Ware?
Because I don't know his last name, and I don't. We're not that
Mr.
familiar.
Ware.
So fucking good.
Mr.
Maybe
Ware.
only his people call him elsewhere.
I want a name tag that says, hello, my name is Mr. Ware.
Can I say that I was writing this out, and I made a choice that I was gonna call him Mr. Ware and not stray from that path, and I'm very, very
It's the
pleased.
best.
I'm glad.
It's so funny.
Excellent.
Alright, well, you and Mr. Ware get the hell out of your seat and come back.
Okay.
Oh, I would like to add on to the never too old for an ass whooping comment that anyone actually in the Blight Brigade is well aware that Forsythia has never laid hands on this man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
Yet.
Like,
But elsewhere
she-
knows that
she
he's
does whip his
one
ass another
smart
way.
comment away from getting snatched.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
used
the
to
environment
watch
that he needs.
Act up and get snatched up.
Yep.
Right.
For the chat, I used to watch Bird Notice. I understood that reference.
Oh, very Sam from Burn Notice.
Yeah.
I have too
Yeah.
many things to look at. Yes. I also understood that reference.
All right, Captain America, calm down.
Dinah checks her shotgun for rounds, and when she seems satisfied, she slides her bag back on her shoulders and tightens the straps all the way so the Jansport is really, really high up on her back. She then touches the collar of her moto vest, and you think she's going for the lay again, and she draws her hands up and around over the crown of her head. At first, it looks like heat waves almost. This kind of an effect you can only see if you squint. But you watch as those heat waves become something more pronounced and solidify into a shining holographic hood that matches her moto vest and definitely was not there before.
That's new.
With her other hand, she passes her face, and the heat waves again solidify into something solid and shiny and ultimately become a matching mouth covering.
CB just quietly.
She
What?
winks at you
No, don't do that.
and turns to elsewhere
Don't
and
do
says,
that,
solid.
"You ready?"
Don't
Oh,
just
yeah.
wink. And look down. This motherfucker winks too.
Yeah, we have that in common.
Aubergine just looks at CB and goes, now that is what we call costuming.
I'm here for it. Like, this tag is dope.
I don't know what's happening.
I'll show you sometime.
Yeah.
I have lost complete control of my
I have a very good tailor. I don't know what to tell you.
No shit you do.
I'll be back. For his part, Forsythia, you're not at all surprised by this. Elsewhere pulls aside the folds of his cowl that he's wearing. It's like a hunter green and black, very dark. And he reveals 1, 2, 3, 4 knives of varying size strapped to each leg. They're sheathed, and there's one resting against the small of his back. There's one hidden up his sleeve, along with the light crossbow he has strapped to his back.
Forsythia just goes, no katana today?
Well, Petrie said that we had to move fast, so I left it behind. I hope I
No
don't
time
need
to study
it.
the blade.
Knowing that elsewhere now looks like JGL, I think Aubergine has a moment and she looks.
Dinah is having the same moment as you.
Dinah, and then she looks at CB and she says I know that Jim Fane is off the table, but and she just stops talking.
Dinah has that moment with you of just damn.
I look at Aubergine and I'm like, hey, yes, that one.
Knives.
Elsewhere just whips his shit closed again and just nods and says always. And they nod to each other, and even though he has pulled his cowl so it conceals his face and you can only see Dinah's eyes, you get the distinct impression that they are grinning at one another. And Elsewhere says, give us, 5 minutes? Yeah, 5 minutes. Give us a 5-minute head start to make some noise and then go ahead and move in. The hearts will get you where you need to go. I would do what Forsythia says, mostly for your own safety. We will meet you at the last cabin in Bear Pottery Group. And if you see any wolves, shoot them as many times as possible, ideally in the face.
Seraphine just has this moment of horror when she sees them walking away, where she realizes that from behind, Elsewhere kind of looks like Dinah's twin, and I know this is gonna be bad because I used to babysit them. So
Dinah turns and kind of looks at you, and you cannot see the bottom of her face, and you know she's giving you a shit-eating grin. And then she like turns and straightens, and they.
that's some straight like savory twin.
Hey, Dinah,
Yeah,
don't die.
I would never. It's boring.
And also rude.
I mean, Mom would be I'll be back.
Yeah. See you later, Big Douglas.
He says he'll see you later.
But
So.
when we see him, and Stevie just missed. Ooh, he fingers.
So the rest of you, Forsythia, Elsewhere has passed you off as the de facto leader since Petrie is emotionally compromised, and also walking forward to go meet up with Alice. I'm going to tell you guys the lay of the land.
Cool.
The central path, which is the widest of them all, and is the one that you are currently standing on, does in fact diverge to the left and the right where you saw Dinah and Elsewhere last. You see them walk up to the top of the trail, look at each other, and break off. And then they disappear behind the tree lines. As you kind of regroup and begin to move off of the trail, you begin to hear gunshots, laughter, and snarling.
Struggle?
Snarling.
Oh, okay.
But that isn't the direction you go. You go backward in the direction you came by about 200 yards and fully off of the trail. The foliage here is dense and slightly damp even in the late afternoon, muffling your steps as you go. Can you please roll a group stealth check for me?
Oh no.
I'm also going to have Abernathy roll, because he's a large man.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's a. Oh my god, I can't count. 22.
20. Hold on.
15
25.
I got a fucking 7, okay?
16.
Luckily, 3 of you passed.
Yeah, we're doing right.
So you.
Group project.
20.
Yup. And actually, I have to roll for the brigade as a pro.
Hi, Lou.
Yeah, the brigade rolled an 18, so you're good to go. The carpet of dead leaves and snapped branches does, for the most part, muffle your steps. Those of you who are larger or carrying more do make more noise in the underbrush, but overall, you manage to move pretty quietly. The trees also are closer together. Their branches are denser and greater in number to a degree that in some spots where the now baker's dozen of you that aren't negotiating with a madwoman or baiting wolves with your meat suit clump together in 2s and 3s. It almost feels like they're reaching for you, snagging on your hair and your clothes and your equipment enough that what should be a short jaunt takes several minutes. Can I please get an athletics check from each of you to see how well you're able to avoid like branches and shit?
Alright, fucking on his body.
Super quick. Am I being rolled for with the rest of the brigade, or should I roll separately?
Please roll separately.
Okay.
22.
13.
April.
Can I roll performance instead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you have to tell me how this is performance. You got to tell me how you are walking through the woods.
Oh, Aubergine is acting like she is in Willow, the movie. And she thinks that she is both Bath Marta and Mad Mardigan.
Good.
So, that's her deal.
And you're doing it pretty quietly is the thing.
Yeah,
So you
and
watch.
with all of my performance modifiers, that gives me a 23.
Yeah, so you are a fucking ghost in the woods, but also strangely elegant and a little bit haunting to anyone who watches you. Abe rolled a fucking 6. Apparently he's tired.
That's what you fucking get, Abernathy, for taking my blanket. And not bringing my
Sorry, he
blanket.
rolled an 11. He has a +5. But still, Abe he's carrying a lot of shit.
Hopefully the weight of his guilt.
No, definitely not that. He left that.
This morning.
He left
At
that
this
back
rate,
in
I'd
the
accuse him
tree.
of carrying
That's
the
back
party.
in the tree. He left that because he needed to, like, unburden himself. Okay, so altogether, it's slow going in some places, but you do manage to make your way through without any major shit befalling you. Before you know it, the trail thins out, or it starts to thin out again, and it eventually spits you out on a trail in surprise. Except that here you can see something there was not before. You can see mountains. Jagged, swooping peaks that you could swear are tipped with the barest hint of white make up the horizon to the relative left of you. And ahead of you, you see a sign that says, "Thank you for visiting Bear Paw Tent Cabins. See you next season." The trail proceeds on for a few thousand feet and then widens into a flat, grassy meadow with like sprigs of wildflowers shooting up everywhere. And you look in the midst of this central grassy area, and there are 10 or 12 studio apartment-sized freestanding structures. Just beyond them, you can see the glare of Petrie's hair as the sun hits it, and you can hear her too, for that matter. She appears to be screaming at the top of her lungs at a woman who is clad all in black. Now, somewhere near, but not too near, your recon mission, the rider has dismounted from his trusty steed to get a closer look at the impromptu tag team match that is happening in the bushes. You had been moving past them. They started moving much more quickly than you were expecting. You heard the wolves howl, so I'm assuming that I think it's safe to assume that you knew that there was a problem.
Yep.
You heard the plan to bait the wolves, of course, but the manner in which they planned to do so was completely in question until now. Roll perception for me, really quickly.
Okay. No, just me.
No, just him.
This is a separate scene. Yep, I got a 10.
Okay. On a 10, the first thing that you see the girl from the woods who is wearing nothing that blends in with her surroundings, who is listening and moving very carefully so as not to disturb the underbrush, with an equally distracting firearm in the ready position. You hear the wolf coming before she does. Would you like to warn her, or do you want to wait and see what happens?
I'll shoulder my own rifle and get ready. If she doesn't realize it's coming, then I'll let the wolf have it. But I kind of want to see how she handles the situation.
Okay.
So I'll use my action to basically delay my action and then attack later.
Okay. So just real quick, I'm gonna make some rolls for Dinah. Okay. So Dinah does not hear the wolf until it is almost on top of her.
Okay.
She
And
spins.
I-
She does
I'm gonna let
hear
the
it.
wolf have it.
Yeah. You're just gonna see.
Yeah, I'm just
how this
gonna.
goes?
Well, I mean, if it's already on top of her, then I
Yeah.
have to interfere. It's too close, so I'm just gonna let it have it.
Fair.
That was the wrong roll. So I rolled a 21.
Okay. Are you attacking or are you?
Yeah, with my rifle.
Okay.
My hunting rifle.
21 definitely hits.
Okay. So I'm also gonna use my spirit strike thing, and I'm gonna add in a little bit of extra damage. So I did 17 plus 5, 21 damage.
Christ.
Well,
Okay.
22 damage.
You blow a fairly large sized hole in the back left haunch of this wolf that slows it down considerably. You hit the wolf probably 20 paces out from her. She turns at the sound of the rifle blast. Turns back and assesses the now very, very heavily wounded wolf and sort of looks around to try and see where it came from. And that is not good. I'm going to make a roll for her against the wolf really quickly. Okay. Dinah is distracted, so she's so busy searching for the origin of the rifle blast that she does not hear the wolf approaching behind her and picking up speed. The wolf is going to lunge at her.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It hits
Oh no.
Oh no.
for... Okay, it hits for 1 point of damage.
Oh my god.
So the
okay.
wolf comes up behind her and like nips at the back of her calf. Ryder, you hear her swear very loudly, and she spins around and is going to fire her shotgun.
Okay, that's fine.
Bitch. She rolls an at 2.
Dinah!
So, as she is getting the shotgun up, the wolf is going to lunge for her again. It is just not the wolf's turn right now. It is the rider's turn. You gonna interfere, or again, you can continue to survey.
Do I have a clear shot? Or are they kind of like on top of each other?
They're
where it's
kind
so
of on
close that
top
it'd
of
be
each
really
other.
risky?
There's a little bit of a gap, but it's definitely a risk.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how much you care about hitting her, to be perfectly honest.
Fucking better care.
I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see what she does.
Okay.
I'm gonna just reserve my action.
Okay, so the wolf lunges at her, but Dinah has time to react now. And I'm not gonna roll that fucking die anymore because it keeps betraying me. That's better! Rolls a 19 to hit.
Good.
Fuck yeah. It's not as impressive as 21 points of damage that came from nowhere, but
Stay mad.
Little do pig.
I will. The rider watches as Dinah allows the wolf to push her over and lands on top of her. And for a minute, Dinah is gone because this wolf is
So
200 pounds, 300 pounds, 6 feet. And then the rider
lad.
sees a blast of pure black energy shoot through the wolf, somewhere in the abdomen region. It howls for 8
What
points
in
of
the
damage.
goddamn?
Dinah rolls out from the other side of it as the wolf is struggling to get back onto its feet and sprints off. The wolf, it is now its turn. I have some bad news for everybody. Dinah can run 60 feet if she pushes it.
Shit.
This wolf
it's gotta be 120.
can run 100 feet.
Oh no.
So, remember when I said I was gonna reserve my action?
Yes.
Now that Dinah's clear, I want to take another shot at it.
Okay, go ahead.
That's gonna be a 18.
18. 18 definitely hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
Okay. And 19 damage.
Jesus!
Ooh.
The wolf
Yeah.
collapses in the dirt.
That tracks, right? Yeah.
Dinah
Good.
turns at the sound of the second blast, almost falls trying to catch herself on her injured leg, still does not see you. And Dinah looks at the injured wolf. As the wolf's form begins to ripple and
Oh
shift.
boy. It gets worse.
You've encountered these wolves before. And you know that
Motherfucker.
these are only wolves sometimes.
Yup.
Said that.
I knew
said
it.
that like 2 episodes
I
ago.
knew
They
it.
were werewolves.
I knew they were.
said it.
But like how?
I feel like that teacher
In
is
a non-magic universe, I have so many questions. Fucking werewolves.
Remember The Incredibles when that teacher's like Dash moved and he's losing it? That's how I feel right now.
Just gonna big fucking capital. Not that CB doesn't know this, but now I know that werewolves. Big
Yeah.
fucking letters.
There is a mechanic that I'm using for this, by
I'm
the way.
very
I just
excited
want
yeah.
to find what
Oh,
is it?
yeah.
I know you're not fucking with us, but
Yeah.
still.
One of
You're
my
fucking
favorite
Yeah.
things about this campaign is all of the clever ways that DK has figured out how to turn magic into technology and other things.
Is that
And
also
I'm
why you kept saying
obsessed.
Mr. Ware?
No.
Oh.
She literally just
Like, I'm
doesn't know what his
obsessed.
last name is.
That's
She
what I
doesn't know
thought
his
you were going
government
with
name.
that, and
Nope.
I wasn't surprised, but
Nope.
Because, like, especially somebody like me where sci-fi, especially cyberpunk, are, like, my favorite things in the world. I love this game so much!
Yay! So, the writer. Yes.
At this point, I would like to shout out to Dinah and tell her, just get the fuck out of here.
Not time yet. And she is going to walk up to the form, which is no longer a wolf, but a very,
No.
very large man.
You idiot. No. Stop
She
that.
says, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Shush.
It's not fine.
Shush. She has stopped trying to find you because she has realized that is a problem for her. So
That's for future Dinah to deal with.
she is going to. No, not this dice. Not you. Never you.
Dice jail.
Thank fucking Christ, Dinah. Okay. Dinah rolls an 18 finally. Are you cool? Sure, that's fine. I'm mad about the amount of damage. It's fine. She walks up to the figure, and there is a large hole, sort of between where at the bottom of its rib cage would be and where his hip would be. It is leaking blood steadily, and she walks up, and Ryder, you watch as she walks up to him at point blank range and points her shotgun down at him, blasts him right in the chest for 7 points of damage, but it is not buckshot that comes out of her gun. Go ahead and roll perception for me.
Oh boy. That's a 17.
On a 17, you see a blast of what looks like glitter come out at the end of her shotgun. Upon focusing in your vision, you can see that while there is glitter there's also white crystals. You think it's probably rock
Oh
salt.
god. Oh god. Oh no. Oh. Oh my god.
He
Why is she
stands
doing
up.
this?
Oh.
He is not at all perturbed by this, and he is going
God.
to climb to his feet.
Oh, I told her to run. Jesus Christ.
Dinah pulls her hood back, pulls her face covering down, and smiles right in his face. Just then, a high, piercing whistle echoes through this part of the forest. And the tall man who has squared up on Dinah looks up as if called. Dinah considers for a moment whether she should take this opportunity to run or not.
I mean, I'm gonna take this opportunity while he's distracted to fucking shoot him again.
Yeah, she's absolutely gonna just fire her gun at him again. And she rolls a 19!
Yeah, I got an 18.
Okay, so let me go ahead and I need to pull up his actual character sheet because
Take his fucking head
this
off.
is gonna be
And
bad.
a 15 for damage.
You rolled a what?
15 for damage and 18 to hit.
Dinah rolled a 16 for damage. So in one instant, this man turns his head to the sort where the noise is coming from, and is blasted with a shotgun round and a rifle round from two different directions. There is a blast of glitter and rock salt, and then a spray of blood that hits Dinah fully in the fucking face. She's not super concerned about it. Now is when Dinah turns and sprints off in the other direction. Ryder, you watch as the man who is injured, certainly. He has several holes blasted in him now. He is still upright. He is still walking steadily. And in fact, rather than chase after Dinah, he turns and runs off into a different part of the tree line at top speed.
there's no way this guy should still be standing. I'm gonna make a note of that for later. I'll tell the boss.
Excellent.
But my immediate instinct is to go see where Dinah's off to.
Okay.
I mean, this guy. I mean, who gives a fuck about this guy? You know, he's tough enough. I will encounter him later, but you know. Clearly, Dinah's the interesting one here because she's got a shotgun with Lisa Frank stickers all over it.
Okay. So you follow Dinah, who is running and laughing,
Yeah.
covered in blood and giggling.
I
Go
should also
ahead.
mention at this point that my basic move speed.
Dinah's more interesting than a werewolf?
I mean, werewolves don't have shotguns.
Or a Hawaiian shirt. She's something
My-
that's definitely not a vacation.
It's 100% a vacation.
Priority.
I don't know how many times I have to explain this. Dinah is on vacation. She doesn't care what you came to do. She's on vacation.
Dinah is working.
So
When
you.
we're done, she can go on vacation.
What were you gonna say, Spencer?
Oh yeah,
I
for
was going
those
to
of.
say that
Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
Whatever you had to say was probably more important.
It really wasn't. Go ahead.
I was gonna remind you that because of the levels that I have, I can move really fast.
Yup.
Between expeditious retreat and then having a bonus action to dash in a turn.
Do you want to be
so-
right behind her, or do you want to be in front of her?
Not like quite. Neither really. Like I want to just be able to keep pace with her and use that extra movement speed as a way of like getting over obstacles or whatever gets in my way, just so I can keep my eye on her and know where she is going because obviously something is up.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
and
easy.
I need to find out.
I think at max it's a crazy amount of feet, so I'm not even gonna make you
Yeah.
roll a check for that. That's fine.
Well,
so you,
also I just mechanically I can outrun
Yeah,
her because of pod
exactly.
features.
yeah. So Spencer gets to do all kinds of fun shit in the woods.
We're sitting over here trying to.
I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Yeah.
Of all of these characters, it's a very fun puzzle for us to try and solve. We don't want the answers.
Of course not.
We
I
wanna
wouldn't give it to
figure
you.
out.
You follow Dinah, who is laughing as she is running, and she's got her shotgun in one hand, and she's running pretty well despite the fact that her leg is still sluggishly bleeding. And you hear coming from in front of her the sound of multiple sets of feet. You assume it's at least one wolf. What it is, it turns out when Dinah gets to them, is elsewhere, quickly pursued by a wolf. Sadly not. Sadly,
Damn
he's not quite on Shakespeare's level yet.
Yeah.
He is also laughing. And he says, "Look!" And she's like, I know. Mine got shots a bunch of times. It's great. But speaking of have you ever been skeet shooting? He continues to run and thinks for a second and says, oh, yeah, definitely. And takes the thing that she handed him earlier, which is, it's a large vial that is filled with a viscous, mercurial sort of liquid. It's translucent, but it's got kind of like a moonstone sort of effect inside of it. It looks, whatever it is, looks substantial, and he throws it as high in the air as he can. Dinah skids to a stop, holds up her shotgun, waits for it to fall, and blasts it. Elsewhere runs, and like home base slides past her as the round hits the vial, which explodes in, again, a shower of glitter, but more importantly, there is a shock wave that comes from the point of impact that blasts Dinah and Elsewhere both off their feet. The wolf goes flying, everybody goes flying, and for a moment, there is no sound.
Can we hear this in the woods?
Uh-huh, you can absolutely hear what's
So
happening.
I look up and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
And the rider, you hear, ow! Cool. All right. Limbs, all of them, you have them, right? And from a little bit further away, you hear, I hope so. I sure hope. Yeah, this is fine. This is totally fine. This is gonna hurt tomorrow, but like, it's cool. It's cool. We totally did our job. And they both start to rise, and now, Ryder, you see that they are moving much more slowly
Gingerly.
and thoughtfully. And they both kind of pick themselves up. The wolf is still on the ground and is starting to rise, and they both just kind of look at it and look at each other and just proceed to start walking in the direction that you know the actual tent cabins are.
Yeah. I'm gonna... Does this wolf know that I'm there? Is it at all aware of my presence?
It knows that something is... Well, it knows that something is shooting at it,
Okay.
but it does not know...
The reason
Where?
I'm asking is because of sneak attack, if that's going to apply.
Oh, shit.
Because I forgot about
We
sneak
should-
attack
we should
when
have
I was shooting
applied
at... Yeah, because that should have happened, especially when Dinah was right in front of the other guy. I should have been using the sneak attack, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and roll roll an attack now with sneak attack damage.
Okay,
and
I'll
since
just roll
we
sneak
didn't
attack
count
on
it
the
on
last
the
one.
other two, we're just gonna max the damage.
Yeah, so funny you should mention that, because when I rolled it, it was 12 damage.
Yeah. So
So...
you.
But for this particular wolf, I also want to give it one and put it down, because
Yes.
I need to buy them time.
Okay.
So I rolled a 19, and only a 9 if I can apply sneak attack. I can do more.
Yeah. Absolutely apply
Okay.
sneak attack.
Then I will be throwing sneak attack on this. That's an extra 3, so I guess I'm gonna have to use Spirit Strike and then add an extra 5, so we're at 17 damage.
17 damage. That's enough for this wolf because it's been blown to high fucking heaven.
Yeah.
You see this form also begin to ripple. The change is slower in this
Okay.
one. Almost like something is stunted or like it's fighting the change. You also see that Dinah and Elsewhere, the two who have been fighting the wolves, they turn in the direction of the shot and they see the wolves start to rise and then go back down and begin to shift. And they look at each other. Dinah looks back and just kind of salutes in the general direction that she heard the shot come from, and grabs Elsewhere's sleeve and starts to move with purpose, let's say.
Yeah. Through the scope of my rifle, I want to get a good look at the face of whatever is about to change shape, so I can remember it for later.
Okay. You zoom in. You are plenty far enough away that it's not aware of your location. What you see is that it does shift back to a man who is fully clothed, I should mention. Fully
Boo!
clothed.
This is not a Twilight situation?
It's gotta be like some kind of.
He's fully
This is
clothed.
why you let me get away with this guy's self last week.
It's gotta be some kind of like wild shape shit. You know?
It could be anything. So remember, she let me get away with this guy's. Remember when I thought I was being super shitty?
You'll just have to play and find out.
DK totally was just like, no, this is fine. That's why they
So
said
many
that.
fucking
That's why they said it was
questions.
fine.
But
Because
the wolf's gotta be some kind of wild shape.
it
So-
could, no, it could be a program because I did it as a program.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
What
it could
the
be a
writer
wild-shaped
sees-
program.
What the writer sees is a man who's about 6'2", 6'3", Caucasian, brown hair that is starting to gray at the temples. It's very long, full facial hair. Kind of a sad expression, a sad, almost brutish
That's
expression.
Eric Dane because I'm picturing Eric Dane.
No. What is his fucking name?
Kinda saying
Bird
it's
here
John Hamm.
from Remember the Titans.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
John Hamm.
It's not John Hamm, surprisingly.
Okay. Alright.
Or actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
No, it's neither of those.
Actual Cannibal Keith David.
He's got kind of a sad expression. He is wearing what looks peculiarly like what you would imagine a lumberjack would wear. So he's probably a logger. He looks. There's only one
he
thing
okay?
you would dress like that for in these woods. He is bleeding.
Good.
You notice blood trickling out of his ears. And
Yeah.
he kind of wobbles when he stands up and looks around. And you notice he also runs off into the woods when he sees that there is nobody remaining in the same direction as the first guy.
Okay. Well, since Dinah and Mr. Ware are now safe, I'm gonna start following this guy
Okay.
back to where he's headed. Because I need to know more. Also, I'm gonna reload along the way, do all that stuff, and I'll tell my horse about what I'm doing.
Okay. So, we are going to cut back to the rest of the party as the rider follows the wolf who's not a wolf through the woods. Do you guys want to try and enter this camp undetected, or do you care if Alice knows that
I
you're
don't
there?
give a fuck. I'm
I don't
coming.
give a shit.
Okay.
No, I don't either. I like my if my mage hand could make siren noises like I'm gonna come fuck you up, it would.
Fair.
I'm in full on Danny DeVito. I walk in, I start blasting.
She does not turn around at the sound of you, but from here you can see her stiffen slightly, raise one hand high in the air and put her fingers in her mouth and whistle.
Who was this?
Alice.
Alice. Got it.
I would like you all to roll perception, please.
This bitch thinks she's Susie Sheep over
With
here
advantage. I'll tell you why in a second.
Perception.
19.
19.
Definitely gonna go with that first roll, 'cause, you know. 21.
21.
19.
19. Okay, so you all rolled very high. You've not only heard the sound you're hearing before, it was less than 24 hours ago. First, the sound of many, many feet getting closer and moving at speed, then a chorus of damp, guttural breaths and growls and snarls, and finally a howl that begins as one sound and splinters off into pieces. 4 pieces. Just as 4 hulking gray wolves, 2 of which are bleeding very heavily, emerge from the tree line to the north, the west, the east, and the south, almost as if responding to a call. I'm going to need you all to roll initiative. And for those of you who are playing at home, I know we have been running for a while, so we are going to
21.
reach a natural point, and then we are going to spend the next session, several hours probably, hopefully not die.
11.
11, 21.
12.
Oh shit, I
Nat
gotta roll.
20.
Damn!
Nat 20.
Okay, so Forsythia will be at the
Perfect,
top of the
delicious.
order. Abe has a +5 to initiative.
I have a +4.
That's wild. I have a +1.
Yeah, I'm a +2.
There's some ballish shit in homebrew classes, you guys.
I've got a +4, but I rolled a 7.
Yeah, Dinah, that's about what I'd expect from you after your performance today. Dinah rolled a fucking 4, so altogether Dinah has a 6. And then Aubergine, you rolled a 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can just say that Dinah's stunned still from the boom.
Yeah, Dinah, actually about this time as you guys are rolling initiative, that's why Dinah's so low in the initiative, because Dinah runs up as like you were all readying yourselves.
Narratively justifying the roles. We love it.
Your sister is fucking covered in blood. It does not appear to be hers. She looks a little dazed, but otherwise okay.
I look at her, then I look at the wolves with holes in them, and then I look back at her, and then I put 2 and 2 together. I don't want to know.
I told you it'd be fine. I didn't even have to get BD's help. I told you it'd be fine. What the fuck is all this, though?
Well, that bitch is Alice.
It's not fine. It's not fine, is the thing.
There's Alice, and we're gonna go fuck her shit up.
This is really putting a damper on my vacation.
You're not a. Oh my god.
I don't know how many times I have to express this to
Fucking
you.
Dinah Bahama over here.
Look, we're just gonna agree to disagree. Some people think that work is work, and some people think that work is vacation, and some people think that vacation
I
is
live
work.
with like 13 other girls. I'm on vacation. Don't take this from me. Don't do this to me. Do you know how long it takes to get hot water in a house with that many other girls?
I'm the oldest of 9.
Yeah, and you moved out. Some of us just had to take cold showers for 20 years. Thank you to mind your business. Damn. Yeah, she's also like not wearing any of her cool shit anymore. It's still attached to her.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Where's your cool ninja shit?
She flips it back up. Right here.
Oh Jesus.
You
Listen.
look like you might die. Maybe just flip that down and sit down.
Nah, it's fine. There. Did you hear the boom? Did you hear that?
She put.
They-
I did that.
shit
We
back
did
home.
that.
Yeah, she put holes in some of these wolves. I do not want her to sit down. Don't sit down.
I look
Okay.
at Dinah and I say, hey, you look like you could use a pick-me-up, and I flicker a gummy worm.
Absolutely misses it by a mile. You see, like, it's a very Daria, like, the hand goes out after it's past her.
Uh-huh.
And she says, huh.
Yep. I get it. It's fine. I got
And Elsewhere kind of looks at her and is like, we were closer than we should have been. And she's like, yeah, we should back up next time.
What do you mean closer than you should have been elsewhere?
To the small explosion.
That I heard.
Dope.
From
Small one.
Dope.
Nothing's
small
on
explo-
fire,
The
is
small
the
explosion
thing.
that I heard all the way where I'm at.
And, like, the wolves are still advancing while you guys are having this conversation. And
like
Dinah's
the way
like,
we're having a
yeah,
conversation
Dinah's
right
like,
now.
no, listen, it was little, relatively, right?
Sophie is just shaking her head, going, "God watches over fools and babes."
Yes, exactly. She knows what's up. This guy gets it. Listen, about the explosion, about that. I could have set stuff on fire, okay, and I didn't. The problem with that is that you still should not be close to an explosion that doesn't make fire. I think I'm probably going to need to sit down at some point, but for right now, I'm fine.
Sit down before you fall down.
I went very far against my will. BD, help mommy. She's just kind of like, Dinah is not at all, like, she doesn't give a shit about these wolves anymore. She's gone somewhere, and Elsewhere is on the same wavelength and is just like, yeah, this is gonna hurt later. This is a problem. And Alice Ballard turns around. Which
I like how all
Petrie,
this was happening behind Alice Ballard.
which Petrie behind her is not happy about, by the way. You definitely hear, I am talking to you. Now, I don't care. Are you gonna do this all day, or should I have my wolves rip you apart now?
Can I ask, where are the wolves in relation to us?
The wolves are moving in at the cardinal points, so from either side of the trail, coming out and coming in, and then from the tree lines. So you guys are in this central area. They're basically approaching from all four sides.
It's not my turn on the initiative. I can't do anything.
Yes, but Alice has asked you a question.
No, I'm pretty sure we're gonna kick your ass and get my friend back.
Oh, you're cute. Are you one of Brona's? Did you get another stray? You just keep adopting children.
I'm not even saying anything.
Wild.
I'm just looking at my bullets, just kind of.
Not afraid of you. I may be small, but I'm not afraid of you. Or your.
I don't need you to be.
Cool. So let's dance.
Aubergine has a 32 Beretta, which is a relatively small gun, and she does not open her mouth, but she immediately starts doing the thing from Tombstone. You know, when Val Kilmer's character...
Seraphine, who's a big proponent of gun safety, just goes, please don't do that.
CB has spent his
Don't
whole
do
life
that.
freezing himself, surviving on his own, and fighting the fucking Bureau and hiding from dreadnoughts. He's really sick of people treating him like he's some fucking child. He's done. He's over it.
Seraphine and Abe. Looking at my.
Nobody else knows that, but that is CB's
Abe,
process.
Abe, how are you on bullets, bud?
Fine. Always fine.
Okay, I'm good.
Alice Ballard is beautiful in the way that you would expect. Very, for those of you who are watching at home, because everyone is based off of someone I've seen in real life, this is specifically Alex Faust from Orange is the New Black. Specifically that Laura Prepon. So straight black hair, very elegant but kind of severe features, and an aloofness that is not an affectation. It is a genuine, there is something loose in this woman.
That's the blonde with the curly hair who was in that other show?
Donna from that 70s show.
70s show.
Yes, and she was in that show that was like Groundhog Day, right?
Oh, yeah, that show lasted like 2 seasons tops.
Is that the show I'm thinking of?
Maybe.
The
Yeah,
actress
it
I'm
was like
thinking
3
of? Okay.
episodes.
That's
She was
why.
in, But I'm a Cheerleader?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
She
Alright.
is dressed in a black leather jacket, black denims, black shirt, black boots, has like one solid, the black eyeliner line with the really sharp flick, cold, cold blue eyes. And she is addressing you, but her attention is not really on you.
Doesn't have to be.
now that the wolves have moved in, and it's clear that you're going to fight, she turns completely from you and looks back at Brona and says, did you want to continue this now? Or do you want to wait and settle this and maybe not fight in front of the children? And Brona says, I would love to fight in front of the children. Where is my daughter, Alice? And Alice smiles and she says, she's nearby. She's fine. I figured this would get your attention. You just won't return my calls, Brona. Your call. I won't return your calls. And August, from where he is next to you, says, uh-oh, and backs up a little bit. Petrie says, your calls. I won't return. First of all, I don't accept calls from prison, Alice. Second of all, I don't accept calls from psychopaths. So, no, I guess you're right. I probably have been screening you. And Alice says, no, that hurts my feelings, Brona. After all the time that we've known each other, that's how you're going to talk to me in front of strangers? Known each other. The Alice that I know wouldn't kidnap a child to get back at me. I don't even know you. So, you can give me back my child now and stop throwing this tantrum, or you can continue to blame your problems on everyone else and waste my time. One way or the other, I'm going to get my child. This can end with you in traction, or it can end with me walking out of here with my daughter. What is it going to be, Mairead? Alice looks shocked when she hears the name Mairead. And you see just like slight chink in her armor.
Was it Mairead?
Yes.
M-A-R-A-I-D?
M-A-I-R-E-A-D.
M-A-I-R-E.
She says, A-D. You see, I do know you. I've known you since you were a child. I don't know what has happened to you, but I'm not going to negotiate with someone who would sick wolves on helpless people enjoying a family vacation at the Sequoia National Park.
It's not a lie.
No. And Petrie turns and says, no, I don't mean you. I mean the day that Alice Ballard decided to return to the Sequoia National Forest in all her glory, fresh off of her almost conviction for terrorism.
And murder.
And released endangered wolves in my park. How do you think that happened elsewhere? He wasn't born with those good looks. And Alice, it was admittedly regrettable. Elsewhere should know better than to put his hand in a wolf's mouth, to be fair. And Elsewhere thinks about saying something, sweeps his shirt back and just pulls out the knife that is tucked into his back. And he grips it very tightly. Looks at her for a minute and just points it at her. Does not say a word. And Alice appears to respect that. She nods at him. Attaboy. Okay, then I guess we're fighting. If you win, sure, you kick my ass and you take January. And I have to suffer this loss amongst hundreds of others. How will I ever survive? If I win, Brona and I are going to have a very, very long conversation about what happens when you speak out of turn and the consequences for that. Does that sound fair, Brona?
I propose a third option. Perhaps a fourth. I don't know if you're amenable to this. You could let the kid go, apropos of nothing, and we'll just call it a wash. Or we can walk in and we can take her, but no, as a caveat, we're turning this shit over.
I was hoping you'd say that. Boys, and the four wolves
Yes, we're turning this shit over.
that are around you begin to advance. You see Petrie takes off her jacket and throws it just somewhere behind her. She's a little swole. All that time, like, foraging and shit, she's a little swole. She says, fine, we can do this. But when we win and I get my child back, I'm gonna let her put as many arrows in as many of your organs as she wants. So be prepared for that.
CB's mage hand is crackling with electricity.
The wolves begin to advance. Your mage hand is ready to go. Brona's hands aren't glowing exactly, but there is, you see, originating from her wedding band, there is a green glow, similar to the force field that protected the forest, or the tree that you guys slept in last night. And it begins to glow brighter and brighter. And it just kind of pulses. And she looks like the picture of patience. August and September look concerned, but not about Alice and not about the wolves. They look concerned about whatever Petrie is about to do. Alice says, right. And just holds her hand out. Considers for a second. It's like she's waiting for something. And the ring begins to glow, not green, but bright, bright white. And brighter and brighter and brighter until you can't look at Petrie anymore. And she says, you could have just given me my daughter. And throws her hand out, and all of that white that's building up in the ring shoots out and hits Alice dead in the chest. She cannot escape this damage. She can only save for half of it. So I'm going to roll a constitution. It's 4d10 damage, by the way. She rolled a 4.
Alice rolled a 4
Yep.
in her saving throw.
Yep.
Got it.
So she takes the full damage. It's only 12 points, but a beam of white, what looks like moonlight, hits her square in the chest and knocks her back off her feet. Petrie advances to her, kneels down next to her, and says, you and I are going to have a conversation. The rest of you, the wolves did roll before you in the initiative.
Fair.
They are advancing, and they have a faster move speed than you. We are about to pause this until next time, but I'm going to give you each a chance to do one action before we close things out.
I have a question about a spell.
Yes.
And I hope this is going to be a spoiler, because this is the spell that I want to use. For Shatter.
Yeah.
It's... Let me read the spell. It's a 60-foot radius.
Mm-hmm.
But can I make it just the ring around us and not where we're standing?
Nope. It is centered on you. Well, let me double check that. I believe it is centered on you, but let me look.
I need it somewhere. Because I would like to prepare that for my roll in the initiative.
I may be thinking of something else. Let me look. Every creature that is in this sphere is hit by it and has to make the save. It's a 10-foot radius or a 60-foot radius, but it does not say that you can cast it at a point away from you.
So, like, if anybody's within the sphere of me, they're also going to have to make that throw, including my party?
Yeah, but you have movement.
Okay.
So if you want to just move away from everybody a little bit, I will let you do that and cast it without it affecting them.
Yeah, my hope is to be able to hit as many of the wolves as possible with one shot. And if I should hold that until more wolves show up, then I will.
There are 4 wolves that are there right now. You can cast it, but if you are trying to hit all of the wolves, you're gonna hit them.
Okay, well then I won't do that, and I will figure something out.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do bonus actions work?
You get movement, action, bonus action.
Okay, because I know I'm going to cast spiritual weapon.
Okay. What does your spiritual weapon look like?
A gun.
Fair. That's fair. she keeps the piece because she keeps her a piece of steel. That was a stupid fucking question.
Thank
Duh.
you.
I get you.
White with gold
My
fillers.
spiritual weapon? Does it have to be like a...
So what happens when you cast spiritual weapon? You have your actual, your God-given gun, but your spiritual weapon is
Another God-given gun.
another God-given gun, a bigger one with worse bullets. It's like a shimmering sort of image. You don't have a lot of tech, but you do have a cell phone that technically can do things. So, but that's not where this program comes from. That's not where your spiritual weapon comes from. It comes from your faith. And what do you think about when you think about your faith? Do you think specifically about P. Diddy, or do you think about your family, or...
Fucking P. Diddy. Just so the folks at home know this, for our session 0, we had a collective vision where we all met, and God appeared to Seraphine as P. Diddy.
No, he didn't.
No.
You decided that. That was not who that was.
Seraphine projected God into an image of...
I see a
P. Diddy.
well-dressed, black man in my dreams wearing all white. He's not as old as Morgan Freeman, so it's not Morgan Freeman in Bruce Almighty.
I would
Okay,
also
so
think P. Diddy.
So it's Diddy, right?
Yeah.
Anybody would
Well,
assume
I mean-
it's Diddy. A spiritual weapon, what were you saying?
What do you think about when you think about what do you pull on when you need God to do something for you, essentially?
Her gun.
Yeah, what do you, no, I mean, what, faith is a very
Come on.
personal thing.
Yeah.
You are a cleric. You have been a nun. You have been a soldier. You have lived a life of service. When you need to dig deep and you need to go an extra mile, or you need a miracle that you cannot work yourself, where do you go?
To her gun cabinet.
Where do I go?
You go within, your church and your history and your family? Do you go...
To your Bible.
Yeah.
I go to my Bible, yeah.
You do have the St. Marie Family Bible on your back. It's always with you.
Oh yeah, keep that thing on me.
And you also have your rosary.
Senate.
And the rosary. Alright. So I'm gonna use the Bible.
Okay. So you
Turn that down a little.
you think about faith, and you think about your Bible and the history of that Bible. You think about how many people in your family have owned it. You think of the list of names and dates that's written on the inside, on the front cover. You think about how the pages are yellowed with age and how much history and faith and belief has gone into this Bible. And now it has been handed to you as its shepherd and as its protector. And you think about that. You think about protection. And there's a warmth that starts in your chest and spreads outward. And you are not sure what is happening because you are not a hacker. You didn't perform with pyrotechnics and all kinds of cool lights and shit. Still, right in front of you, faint like heat waves, and then stronger and more solid, your spiritual weapon appears. What is it?
It's gonna be a sword.
Fuck
Cool.
yeah.
Broadsword?
Yeah.
Your spiritual weapon is not just a broadsword, it is Excalibur.
Oh shit, that's
That's
so cool.
wonderful.
Dinah looks at you and you see her gaze go down to the pink ranger in your pocket, and she just smiles. So that is your bonus action. Do you want to take an action? Your spiritual weapon is just up for the remainder of this round, even when we carry over.
So I can use the pink ranger as a bonus action?
You can, but you've already used your bonus action.
Oh, gotcha.
So for an action, you can move, or for an action, you can fire, you can hide, you can dodge, things like that.
I'm actually gonna fire.
Roll to hit one of the wolves.
19.
19, yeah, that definitely hits.
Fucking 5.
Still, okay, so the wolf that is closest to you, it is not at a full sprint, but it is picking up speed. You clip the wolf between its head and shoulder as it is advancing. It's not enough to stop it completely, but it does give it something to think about.
Okay.
Aubergine.
I actually want to use my turn to give Petrie bardic inspiration
Okay.
because if I was fighting for Black Mariah, I would want all the help that I could get. But in true Aubergine fashion, I'm an asshole and I have to sing a song about it, so I start singing "We Will Rock You."
Dinah's delighted and is like, yeah!
Seraphine is just horrified, all day with the singing. All day. These things like a fucking church. And I was in church all day.
Okay, go ahead and roll to see. Oh no, you just give her the die.
Yeah,
What
I'm
is your
giving-
die?
I'm just giving Petrie bardic inspiration.
What is your die?
1d6.
So that leaves CB.
Not quite. Somebody else is watching this go down.
That is true.
And also,
Anyway.
I will give you one action as well. I will give.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
Spencer's ahead of me in the initiative.
Yeah.
Well, wait. I just,
Go ahead. Roll your initiative right now.
fucking 7.
Solid. You and Dinah are kicking it. For
Nice.
Cynthia, you also get one action.
I'm going to. I don't know if this counts as a whole action. So if not, I will do something a little
I
bit
may
more
let you do it for
impactful.
free, depending on what you want to do.
But, explosive seeds. are
Fuck
in my
yeah.
Inventory.
Yes, you do.
Those are gonna get thrown at faces.
Excellent. Please go ahead and roll whatever you need to roll for this. For those of you playing at home, Forsythia pulls out of one of her many, many pockets a large seed. To those of you who grew up in the world before everything went to hell, it looks kind of like a hazelnut, except that it looks like it's made of metal. It almost looks like a metal acorn is what you're looking at. And she pulls. How many did I give you? I gave
have
you 2.
one.
We have 1. Okay. Yeah. So she pulls a little metal acorn out of her pocket. What would you like to do with it, ma'am?
I would like to throw it at the nearest wolf.
Go for it.
Yes. Each creature within 5 feet of the exploding seed must make a DC 10 Dex save, or take 1d8 bludgeoning damage,
Excellent.
or half as much on a successful save.
I'm gonna give you a chance to hit all 4 of these fucking wolves.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah.
we like that.
What was the save?
10.
2 of the wolves saved. 2 did not.
Hell
so
yeah.
the 2 closest to you are gonna take the full extent.
Sweet. Okay. And that is a d8 for the 2 that took the most damage. So that's 1 roll of 5 and 1 roll of 4.
Excellent
And-
turn. Now.
And then for the half damage,
Yes.
for half is going to be 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then 8, half is going to be 4.
Solid fucking turn from Forsythia Hart. We
Hell
have.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to do? Would you like to move?
Okay. I'm not sure where would be intelligent for me to move right now, because you said that the wolves were closing in from like cardinal points at first.
And they're ahead of everybody in the initiative. They're at the top of the order.
Yes, but
Okay.
you guys are getting the chance to act because you
Right.
saw Alice cue them forward,
Right.
so you have a moment before they
Ready
get to
in
you.
action, yeah.
Got it. I would definitely like to move back. I am
Okay.
not a frontline
Okay.
character.
So from where you are, you hit the 2 closest wolves, so that spot is clear. So from the center, you are able to move back toward Alice and Petrie if you would like, and that is away from the fray.
Okay, that sounds good. I will do that.
Okay. Yes.
I'm gonna prepare shocking grasp because I assume they're gonna be close to me by the end of their turn.
Okay.
So I'm going to prepare shocking grasp.
Okay, I will let you do that for free because it's just, or it is your action, but since you are doing that, do you want to move? Do you have any bonus actions that you want to take?
I mean, I can't really anticipate what the wolves are gonna do.
I guess the question is just, do you want to be in the center of things or do you want to distance yourself?
Oh yeah, maybe I'll run back so that way I can kind of watch the wolves
Okay.
kind of come in.
Okay. So,
But like if one gets close to me, then I'm gonna attack it with shock because it's touch.
okay, ready.
I have a couple other tricks up my sleeve, but
Okay.
Up your metal sleeve.
yeah, up my metal arm sleeve.
So,
Yeah.
So I
as the wolves advance, Seraphine
Yeah.
fires her gun and blasts one of them. It doesn't fully stop, but it does slow down. Forsythia takes a metal acorn out of her pocket and throws it and where it lands, it's like a small shell hit the ground. And the wolves, as they are advancing, the shockwaves run through the ground and just blast them. You all feel the ground shake, but you do not take damage.
Nope.
CB, your hand is crackling with electrical energy as you are backing away. Not super far, but enough that as the wolves start to try to bottleneck you, you are outside of it.
Yeah.
So you have like a clear vantage of what's going on. Seraphine, Aubergine, Dinah, Abe, everybody else are standing in the middle. Petrie is kneeling menacingly over Alice Ballard, who is still on the ground from where she got blasted in the fucking chest. And somewhere in the woods, pretty close to what's happening right now, the rider is watching all of this happen. To close things out, what action would you like to take, if any?
I'm gonna call the boss.
Okay, excellent.
Because,
I don't feel like that sounds.
I don't like the way that sounds either.
Baller.
this is, and I can't handle the situation anymore. I'm gonna need some backup on this one.
Okay.
Do we want to do this now, or just kind of do it as an off-screen kind of thing?
Why don't you say what you were going to do, and you and I will work it out off screen.
Basically, just that. Just going to call the boss, get in touch with the people who put me in this position, and explain to them, look, it's going down, and I can't fix this. Like, what do I do?
Okay, I will
Fucking
go ahead and make a note that you have written a strongly worded letter to the boss suggesting that they come and solve this mess.
At least break it up. Get them separated. Otherwise, there's going to be nobody left for us to work with. So,
as you think that, I'm going to make a roll real quick.
Ain't that about a bitch?
I would like you to know, I was rolling to see if your boss answered, and I rolled a nat 20 on the die.
nice.
So I'm going to make one more roll real quick.
Perfect, delicious.
Yes.
My favorite thing you've ever taught me, Jordan.
I'm gonna teach you a great one when we hang up called Jimber Timber.
Something
Fuck yeah.
very exciting is going to happen.
Yay!
From
We did!
apparently nowhere, approximately the tree line, you see more rustling. But what runs out are not wolves. They are woodland creatures. 4 of them. And the woodland creatures, one is a massive stag, another is a smaller deer, and then there is a plain brown fox, and there's a rabbit.
A what?
A
rabbit
rabbit.
or a hare?
Whichever.
I heard a rat. A stag, a
I'm writing
deer,
this down so I don't forget to pull up the character stats for these later. You guys do not know where these animals came from. Their attention
I
is
don't
not
even
on
know
you.
what they are.
Their attention is focused solely on the wolves. Ferris, you have to admit, the boss answers pretty promptly when you really, really need them to.
I mean, I should hope so. Like, I'm doing all of this on their behalf. Like, you can't just leave me out in the fucking cold.
Actually, they can't. No.
I mean, they can. They definitely could and have before.
They're pretty fond
but,
of that, actually.
you know, in this instance, it just doesn't make sense for the boss to not be taking an interest in what's going on. And you'll
And-
find out why
yeah,
sooner rather than later.
From what you can see, the boss is now very intent on what is happening on the ground.
Yeah.
And with that, we are going to close things out for the night because we have been going for quite some time. You guys have been hanging with us this entire time. You are incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to the entirety of the cast. Thank you to Spencer and Bree for hanging with us this entire time. They are in a different time zone, so they have been especially good sports.
Thank you guys so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
We live in the future.
We're gonna go, so I
Enjoy-
don't keep these fine folks any longer.
I'm gonna play our end credits, so enjoy those. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.